first match earlier, so unfortunate for them right now. They have to bring it back. They lost that match last year in the 3rd place, and they're gunning for revenge.
The game is not played on paper, ladies and gentlemen. As you just heard right there, the big-time upset for Team Liquid scoring that victory. But the wonderful thing here is that it is double elimination bracket. That means that these guys still have one more chance. It is time for us to get started with our first match of day 3. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, for our elimination match. This is the highest level of play.
Absolutely it is. We are ready. The players are ready. The casters are ready. It is time to start Evolution Power versus Team Stallions.
A top 4 finish. A top 4 finish for both of these teams last year, and yet one of them will be facing elimination immediately here at EWC 2026. For Stallions, it's the pocket pick of Subbase. For Evolution Power Gaming, they beat Q9, and now they want to take down the Stallions.
Yeah, it's a lot at stake for this one, right? I mean, we talk about everything for one last chance for both these teams to stay alive, and otherwise that, you know, the loser of this game gets their key crushed and the other team gets to move on and they get to be qualified. So that's a lot of pressure to be built up for both these teams. And again, a little bit of surprising take here from Stallions, considering we, you know, I think all of us on the talent were kind of saying, look, they're one of the heavy favorites. They're one of those top 3 teams. So for the fact that they're in the lower bracket, it has definitely been a sight to see.
Right now for the Stallions, it is a very patient round, which is really uncharacteristic from them. They've got this deep space over towards Wood. For EP, it's just a standard setup. Here for GR, you've got a couple of players over towards A. You've got that is thinking about making that push, but right now it's very static. Stallions are just trying to sound out this map. They're really hoping for over-aggression. It's not coming in. It is all just spams.
Yeah, a lot of waiting things out, right? I mean, again, this is where I think both these teams have obviously played each other. The desk did a great job just bringing that back up and a lot of the history that's happened. So, again, this is where you're still getting a bit of a feeler. This is where Stallions, they don't want to like overexert themselves yet. They want to make sure they can just take this with a good pace. EP giving a lot of respect, right? They know there's a lot at stake for this game, but this is where now Stallions, they're getting look like they're primed and ready here to get for the plan of attack.
They've traded a lot of utility here as well, and I think that's only going to favor Stallions right now, that they've got a lot more of it as we enter into the closing stages of this round. I'm looking at Lloyd, and I'm thinking that maybe he's got that opportunity more over towards B. Another smoke is going to be put forward. Stallions need to start going now.
Yeah, time is ticking away. 35 seconds remaining. This is where now Stallions, they have to get a move on, and you can see that ZAY goes for the pop flash, but look at that! It's just going to be Stallions that just load things up. Locked and loaded, leaving YH by himself now in a 1-on-3. I don't know, B-Dog. This is a lot to ask for one of your players. This is a tough, tough mission to do in the first opening round.
He can't do it. He's got 23 HP. Would need headshots instantaneously at Stallions for not to react whatsoever. We'll see. In towards the vent. Maybe he's got the drop on one of these players, but no. I mean, look at the bomb. It's already halfway gone. There should be no way back into this round. I love this out of Stallions. It's so patient. They re-smoke off the choke point to block the access from the defenders to get it access in towards middle from A, and they just run by. And as soon as you hear that, if you're EP, it's just a desperate push through the smoke. You fall right into the trap. Sure, YH will get one on the way out, but Stallions do not care.
Yeah, that was really nice, though, from Stallions. Again, I like the fact that they just slow things down. They take a lot of tactics on this. And like you said, it was a great little bit of a highlight just saying, look, like we're just going to use our utility. We're just going to try to slowly and surely just get this map control. They don't rush it. I mean, Stallions can be notorious for being a pretty aggressive team. And that's where, you know, players like No, like, you know, where the desk has really highlighted it, saying, like, look, he's had a monstrous performance so far in this tournament. He's put up some big, big numbers. So the fact that he's just kind of ramping up and everybody else seemed to get the kills and not even him, that's a great sight already for me. That is like a positive thing for a team like Stallions.
Absolutely, but I'm actually just more curious about the fact that the faster style hasn't come out yet, and maybe they're just setting down the conditioning to EP, saying, look, we're actually going to take our time, we're going to build into these rounds, and then you hit them just with a quick tempo switch. That could be a lot to overbear, especially if EP drop the ball early in some of these rounds. You're really hoping that the GR start is going to give them a number of rounds, because if Stallions gain momentum, it feels like they're a team that can just snowball the game out of control.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm glad you bring that up, right? Because again, it's just Stallions maybe just trying to get them a little bit more more conditioned. I think that's the best way to describe it, because you don't want to just go like flooding out the gates and just trying to be ultra aggressive, right? EP are a team that like to take things very slow. They like to play back. So I think that the fact that Stallions is kind of just taking their time with this and again, just trying to see what they can work with is not a bad note at all, considering we just started the first game of the day. Lots of rounds to go, lots of maps to go if needed. And again, this map pool is very interesting considering we are on sub base and Kara and then even for Eagle-Eye to be the finisher, which is very, very unique in my opinion for this matchup.
Yeah, what do you make of this Eagle-Eye 2.0 pick as a decider? Because the desk were umming and ahhing about it. This is a map that they have played on historically, but definitely one I think was completely unexpected.
I definitely think for me, like I just think that the fact that EP were they could barely get, you know, they couldn't even get the win against Vitality, right? And that's no disrespect to Vitality, but again, that's a different level of a team you're playing. So I do feel like Stallions, in my opinion, have that veto, you know, more success for them.
Well, let's see if they can get this control. A success story. It's the same round, exactly the same, but it's a lot more forward-facing. This time out of EP, YH just runs down Stallions immediately. That's the bomb dropped. That's the round over. KLP, sure, he's alive for an extra second, but EP, they respond immediately. Stallions, they try and run it right back, and it completely goes against them.
Yeah, that's a big thing from Stallions, right? They try to just do the exact same strategy, like you said, and it almost felt like they're waiting for this, like, you know, 40-second, 35-second kind of timeline, and they're like, okay, now we go. EP were ready for it. They're like, are they really going to do the exact same thing again? And then they just pop off. So again, really good read from EP. This is where, you know, a lot of us have been questioning EP's performance in this tournament so far, but it seems like every game that they've played, they've gotten better and better and better, right? The first game, super shaky. Everybody was questioning, okay, this is not EP. But now it seems like they're kind of, you know, powering up and getting back into this final form that we have been able to see in them before. So now Stallions, I think, realize and are going to get a little bit of a reality check on this one.
Looks like they want to go faster. Straight in towards this A bomb site. Gets blocked off with flashes and smokes, and immediately YH, who was the closer in the previous, now looks to be the opener here in round 3. Stallions will back out. I think the biggest difference in that previous round was I think Stallions wanted EP to have that corridor and then to leave and then bunker down on the bomb sites. Instead, EP, they remained vigilant. Stallions then walked through the wooded area, but they just didn't have control. That was the biggest difference.
Yeah, and the one thing I like too is the fact that Stallions, they're trying to bait the utility, right? So the EP, they're kind of like flushing out their smokes and the flashes on that corridor, that choke point. They're like, look, we need that to be gone because once it's gone, we know that typically most teams play like a one-man army, one-man anchor. So this is a really smart play. They can burn the time. Like, you still have just over a minute remaining. Now they can go for this pop flash that Loy's about to throw. It's all going to be about YH and ZAY. They have to lock this down. This is a good reposition from the defense.
And it works.
Oh,
and it works even better. Zay able to find a multi alongside YH, and now you need your players to get active for Stallions, and they are. In a blink of an eye, we've actually just evolved into this 1 versus 1. No, ready for XQQ. He spotted him immediately. A dink, but not the fatal blow. Can at least take some time to plant XQQ. Knows exactly where No is and just needs one shot out of this sniper to lock the round in for EP, but No's already repositioned. He's already staring at the stairs, and it's now a leg spotted. Players trading places and kills just not being found. This is so awkward for both players. Now the smoke blocks off. XQQ's got even limited access. Has to go all the way around the world.
Oh my goodness, yeah, no, XQQ with 13 HP has to hit the best shot in the world, and No has to realize this. Look at this, he gives up his back! And XQQ, he gets away with it! He absolutely steals that. No did everything correctly. You saw the first initial duel. He does the damage. He throws the smoke, blocks off the choke point. XQQ's like, okay, let's go to option B. And the fact that he's able to get the perfect timing on that, that is a chef's kiss right there.
I wonder if his tendencies as well for XQQ, because No was really set in stone that he was either going to walk through that smoke or re-peek the window. Never considered the flank, and that's going to be to his detriment. EP now get back-to-back rounds. They start to snowball themselves when it comes to momentum. And Stallions, we're seeing the same opening every single round. Back to this wood control.
Yeah, they want to just make sure they can get this presence, right? They just want to see what they can get away with. The fact that they're allowing this to happen EP, but they're putting in a little bit of a trap on it. You have the double player A, you're kind of having double the back here of wood control. That's not bad, but the fact is, if Stallions can cross into control room, that's when things can get a little bit scary, right? Because then they get the high ground, then they can make things a little bit of an interesting conversation of an A split. So this is where EP, I get what they're doing, but they gotta be careful because, again, it seems like they're playing quite conservative, quite passively on this. but they're just relying on that utility to kind of, buy them the time.
It's really interesting because the games I've seen at EWC this year, especially when it comes to sub-base, is a lot of prioritization towards machine room. It feels like we've barely seen that here for Stallions. Classically, as I'm talking about it, now we get a couple of players moving over. But my next point was going to be, Loy has been fantastic for the Stallions, and it feels like we're not utilizing him in a way that would be beneficial, especially on BL.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, and that's a good point you bring up. And again, even with the smoke, I think XQQ, I don't think he was going to be able to spot this yet, but yeah, repositioning, just trying to see if somebody's going to come through sidewalk here, but he's just waiting things out, so he's just kind of clustered in the site. But look at this, double snipers are still here. KLB actually does find the opening duel, so this is really important because, again, that wood control is up for grabs. Now, they don't know the A is vacated, but now they're just picking these guys apart one by one right now, like a delicious treat. And now they're, again, able to find 3 in a row where there's somebody's just wide open, and EP are trying to respond, but Stallions, honestly, it just seems like they look for these one-on-one engagements and they prevail.
One-on-one engagements, we go one step further. They were looking for kills all over the map. They basically took the B-bomb site, or at least the staging to do so, and then they go all the way back towards A. They then fight middle again. They are everywhere. Really intrusive round out of Stallions. Makes it so difficult for EP, and also what it does generate is individual fights, and that is the best thing for Stallions. Look at them now. JJ's leading the charge. They're already over towards A. YH has got no idea about this. He might be ready for the players on the stairs, but he's never going to be ready for JJ.
Yeah, that's a perfect trade, though, because, again, he's not expecting it. Yeah, beautiful double kill. And I was going to say, ZIY is not going to be able to respond to this quickly enough, right? Like, he didn't realize these guys already made it down the stairs. That was a really strong position. You can see that JJ was just kind of sitting there, waiting things out. He's like, hey, like, you have to be the distraction. I'm going to swing for this. If you die, it's all good. It's an instant trade. And the fact that he's able to capitalize on that double kill, again, perfectly done, very well executed here from Stallions. They can wait things out. XQQ getting a little bit desperate, trying to make a play. Rightfully so. You're down in the numbers. You got to do something, right? You got to figure out a way to equalize this.
I really like these aggressive openings from Stallions to fall back into making EP trip up. And that's exactly what you're saying. The fact that Loy's got control of the vents, you then got KLP that is taking more of a passive line with this sniper. And look, they completely circumnavigated the last 2 players, 2WW, YZK, on completely the polar opposite side of the map. So this will be a bomb plant, and it should be around. In theory, this 4v2 is going to be really tricky.
Yeah, it would be honestly a bit of a throw in some regard. Like if Stallions can't, be able to find this. It's a 4-on-2. It's a big advantage. Everybody has pretty much, decent HP. Like JJ sitting at 85. Really, he's the only guy that's taking it's significant, and that's, I'm quoting this, it's not really much damage, right? But this is where EP, they're going to have to figure out something because you have 2WW by himself, you have YZK, they're kind of just, again, taking this from a high and low position. It's not going to be easy. YZK should be a dead man walking, and he is. Now just leaving it to 1, the new addition of this team, way too much of a tall task here. So now Stallions do put themselves in a lead for the time being.
They're also, as well, I think, setting themselves up where in the next round or 2, they're just going to go for a fast play. They're just going to go and spring into life on a bomb site. And I think where the machine room's not really been contested, that is definitely something that is now going through the minds of the Stallions. Can we actually exploit this by going further? Because all the early conditioning has been just on this left-hand side of the map.
Yeah, it's no question about it. And it seems like, for Stallions, like you said, you brought it up originally, right? Just saying, like, they're just fighting for wood control instantly. They just want that map presence. I do love it. They're being active. They're not just sitting back and waiting. Some teams on the BL side, they like to just kind of really, park the brakes, not really do too much. They like to sit back. But this team, no. They're just trying to constantly move. They're constantly trying to adjust their game plan, which is a great thing to see. And they feel like it's kind of changed that, that pace from a lot of these, CROSSFIRE teams, in my opinion.
It's really interesting just actually watching the way that they go about taking the control. Like this time it has just purely been utility and they're waiting for a reaction. Whilst they're waiting for the reaction outside woods, you've got Loy. Loy has really been designated in this entire half just to lurk and try and find opportunities onto EP players. See if you can get a timing, whether that's through the vent, whether that's through machine or over towards the BU site. Like you are looking to exploit. This is what Stallions are doing right now, especially on their BL side. They're playing exploit CROSSFIRE and they're just really waiting for these mistakes to come in.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that even EP now are putting a little bit more presence on towards like just anchoring on the backside of A. Like they don't have anybody like behind the single box near the stairway. They're playing, very passively like on the offside of the missile. So they're really just trying to play a little bit more of a passive retake setup, which I'm not fully against. But again, when 2WW is in a wide position like that, that's going to be tough. And even now for YZK, I don't know how he does escape with his life, but he's going to get a second chance at this. 25 remaining for him. And look at Stallions. Again, look at this composure. They are not, There's no ants. Everybody's just waiting things out. It looks very cool, calm, and collected.
They've heard the flash as well pop up towards the vent, so they know that EP don't have that control. So we're going to be feeling a little bit paranoid. 30 seconds, and the
Here we go
defense
again.
completely split. And you're right, this is a run back of the first round. YH is going to be feeling a little bit familiar. XQQ's already been pushed back and dinked forward, but YH has been finding all of the space. In goes Loy, but XQQ is now replying back instantaneously. But then there's even more trades. Bomb needs to be committed here. KLP and KLB is that dynamic duo to get things done here for the Stallions. And whilst the bomb gets planted, they're not ready for Zay. And KLB has to clutch up for the team, but he can't do it. ZAY does huge work on that flank, and it's again the flank paying off for EP, and the defuse can be locked in. We go back and forth.
Yeah, I love this, and this goes right back to my original point. I was talking about Evolution power, and they are absolutely powering up. Like, look at the difference of what we've been able to see from the beginning of this tournament to them here and now. This now team is fragging out. Everybody's contributing. It's not just like the 2WW show. It's everybody, equally contributing to this game. Clutches have been able to happen. We see XQQ. He doesn't have to be that, saving grace for these guys as well. Everybody seems to just be ready to go. They want to fight for the glory, and they are going to call the tactical. But again, I think it's just for them to get themselves a bit back in composure. That's a big round that they won, or they were able to win. And Stallions, I mean, this is a good moment for them to figure out what they need to change, because really we're noticing kind of the similar strats, and they haven't been able to really expand their horizons too much yet. But EP are putting up a really good wall of defense so far right now.
I like the idea, like the way that Stallions approach that, especially after hearing that flash that gets thrown in towards the vents, that makes Loy activate, and he can be that player to trade. But it was just so difficult for Stallions. They didn't have clean entries into the bomb site. Like, I actually think that the way that they approached it was completely correct. Like, method-wise, perfect. And I think this is why the pause has actually been called here by EP. They called the pause before they actually won the round, expecting that it was just going to be dropped by the wayside. But I think this is a good reinforcement for the coach, as you say. The Stallions, I think that the way that they're approaching the early stages of the round, fine. I just think maybe you need a little bit more variety here, especially towards B, because there could be a point for EP, and I wonder if the coach is saying this where, sure, maybe one player's holding machine, but you can take a risk at some stage. Maybe you can just go and get all that space for free.
Yeah, and I think the fact that we're seeing the AA is kind of, catching them a little bit off guard too, right? Because typically most teams, they like to have that sole anchor at the A site. You kind of have a guy that's like floating a lot and rotating constantly, but the fact that EP have really designated that seems to be a little bit of a nuisance for these guys, because they're expecting to get that duel, be able to get that bomb down, and then at least we're talking post-plant situations, but not going to be the case yet. And you can see they've actually mixed things up here, EP, so they're going to go back to the singular anchor here in this A site. Now putting that lean towards B and GR spawn, which is definitely fair, because again, they're probably expecting Stallions to want to go a little bit quick on this. They want to gallop, do something fast, and try to get in their face. So it's a good reaction, and like you said, take a little bit of a risk, right? This is where EP need to kind of experiment with some of their defensive setups a little bit here, just to get themselves a more of a convincing lead.
Yeah, it's not a gallop at all in this for Stallions. It's more of a canter. They've actually taken even more of a passive line here. They're just towards the BL side, and they're going to reset themselves and potentially move forward towards Machine. Okay, that's where the C4 is heading. You still got a couple of players that are investigating wood. You got to put the pressure on to a certain extent, but actually the timing feels okay right now. It's Stallions' move. The biggest thing I'm learning right now here at EWC, though, is that players don't take the timing. They take even more.
Yeah, it is true. And I mean, there is a player close on locker here. I was going to say, I think that's ZAY, and he's posted up, playing a bit of a nice little bit of an off angle. Again, just being able to use that HK, which can just be so dangerous for the one-taps here. So again, even just with this like slight sliver of an angle, like even if he misses the shot, he's going to get the intel. That's completely fine. Now Stallions, 45 seconds. Okay, KLP is going to go down quickly. YCK activating the sniper. Look at that again. He's been able to just sing a beautiful lullaby right now for EP. And Stallions, a little bit of sleep now. It's all this down to no. He's on a 1-on-3 task with 30 seconds remaining. Has the bomb, but again, this is where he's expecting EP to make a mistake. He's hoping for a duel. He wants to be able to find something, but no, it's going to be EP. They are absolutely fragging out right now.
Really cool, like mid-round from EP, especially towards the left-hand side, where they had that solo player towards A. Instead, what they do is they push it. I was thinking more that it was going to be towards Machine Room. Instead, they crunch it in towards Wood and from the A stairs, and they're just able to upset Stallions. That gives the space for them to flank it into Machine Room as well. That was well choreographed from EP. They take the lead, and to be honest, whilst this game has been quite streaky in nature, for the most part, EP have been in control.
Yeah, it does actually feel like EP have been able to react to a lot of good situations. And like we said, let's not forget there's been 2 clutches that have been able to be decent for them. So this is where, Stallions are a pretty momentum team that, they get really fired up, some big plays and some, big impact that happens. So right now for them, this is a little bit unusual, right? I mean, the fact that they're getting tested this hard, and, I think, again, just going back to what the desk was talking about is that, look, there is a lot of history here. These guys played each other last year, where EP were able to squeak the win. So that's where Stallions, again, they want that revenge factor. They said it fuels them, but you got to make sure it doesn't make you blind, right? You got to make sure that you can stay focused and have that discipline and not letting that, that pressure or that, angst to really take over you.
The thing that's confusing me just the most as 2WW gets a crazy kill is that Stallions... We'll look back at this in a sec, because now all the kills are coming in. No, I want to give him his flowers. I want to give him a chance. XQQ will fall. This would be a diabolical 1v4 to drop it if you're EP, but No's been given angles, No's been given opportunities. It's a lazy check on the corner, though. 2WW ends what he starts, and this is the confusing thing now for me, for Stallions, is that in the past couple of rounds, they've deviated away from what was working. And what was working was going very aggressive into a choke point. I really highlight the stairs peak over towards A, where they were able to get the clean trades in towards the bomb site. Here, they're just sitting back, and they're allowing EP a lot more wiggle room and a lot less pressure.
Yeah, and I've been kind of expecting to see EP, or my apologies for Stallions, to be able to kind of just, again, switch this into a new gear. Like, let's get out of second. Let's go to 4th gear. Like, we need to see something a little bit quick. Let's play to your strengths here. Now we get to see No. He's going to get some activation. Now he said enough is enough. I'm going to do everything in my power, my abilities individually. Finds that triple kill. Now Loy's going to be able to find that singular, and there we go. It's the No and the Loy show. These two single-handedly able to get that last round. At least it's something. We're talking in a 5-4 half. EP get it. But for Stallions, man, do they need that for this transition.
Absolutely. They absolutely needed that last one, because now you swap over to GR, and I think for EP, the game plan's going to be the same, and they can be a little bit more passive. They can expect Stallions to make the moves, make the inroads when it comes to at least facilitating gunfights. I mean, look at this. Look how, I've never seen a player from EP get this deep in Machine. Or in the first 10 seconds, the Stallions are already putting the pressure on.
Yeah, and this is good. I'm glad that, for Stallions, like, again, when these teams on the GR side start to play aggro and they're trying to just fight for map control, this is where a lot of teams, when they're on the blacklist side, this is where they kind of just pull back. Look at EP right now. Like, they have completely pulled on the back of the map. They're like, nope, we're not moving. We're going to wait. We're going to see if Stallions really want to try to, again, I said Gallop, like, racing towards them or not. So this is where they're playing ultra passive and waiting things out. So it is a good mind game that Stallions have been able to play, because now you can see EP, they're like, hey, slowly and surely, we have to refight for this map control.
And to back that up even further, for your point, is that EP are also going double sniper. So they are more than willing just to chill. And there could even be a point where they could wait out the clock so much further, where the sniper doesn't even fire off a shot, and then he could just go and get a rifle.
Exactly. It's a good play, because, again, Stallions weren't fully sure if they were going to double sniper. I mean, it has been pretty much their, take on the GR side, but on the BL, you never really typically know if a team wants to double stick this or not. But in this case, it's a great play. Like you said, I'm glad you bring that up, because that just even makes EP more hesitant what to do. And I mean, there was a lot of comments that I was making in the very beginning where, to me, in the first game I watched them, it kind of felt like everybody was like the chef in the kitchen. Everybody had an opinion. You could see it was very disjointed. This is going to be very interesting, because I've been talking about EP powering up. The BL side is definitely going to be the one that has to showcase it now.
Well, that means going into KLP with the sniper miss shot immediately. I actually think he had nades out. That's really difficult, because he's being run down. A jump over. It's Lloyd to get the first frag. And can he find even more? Well, at least he's living, but the players in mid aren't. That's awesome from XQQ. Lloyd now having to try and find the success back in towards this bomb site, and it's not working. It is EP powering up, and it's EP holding strong on A.
Yeah, it just feels like, again, these positions from Stallions are just getting a little bit awkward, right? Because you can see the player that's behind the missile. He's just stuck. He's like calling for his teammates, like, you got to flash. You got to do something. I need to get out of this. I'm screwed. I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. And then as soon as he goes down, his teammates just cannot seem to find the trade. They can't get the duels that they need to. It's a tough position for someone like Loy in that spot where, like you said, he was trying to stay alive, which was great. But at the same breath, you need to be able to do something to kind of slow this down, because EP, they've been able to just take over real estate tenfold. Like, it has been pretty much no contention in that round.
His timing was poor just because he had a grenade out in his hand, I think, when EP swung the corner. But also, like, I'm looking more over towards like the window. I'm looking at JJ in that instance. Like, why are we not peeking the window to help him? Like, it felt like there was no coverage, as you say. There was no bailout option there for the Stallions. EP just get given the ground. It almost felt like Stallions waved the white flag and were only wanting to fight for the stairs control.
Yeah, I definitely felt like there could have been some like decent counter flashes or something just to be able to like slow something down, right? But it just felt like, no, let's go for a gunfight, and then it got awkward, it got weird and really uncomfortable.
This is interesting as well. They called a timeout just as the round started.
Yeah, so maybe it could have been just a little bit of a slip where they maybe wanted it a bit earlier, or maybe they really do want to use it for round number 12. So that will be something I'd be curious about just finding out later if we can, but it is very interesting. Maybe they wanted to do it, but they did it too late. So that's going to be my perspective. But either way, the timeout will be beneficial. If they find this round in their favor, it's still a good way for them to just kind of clear the air and figure out what they need to do, because clearly there is definitely some hiccups right now.
Exactly the same round.
Uh-oh.
KLB's got to be careful. Please have your gun out this time. He does. KLB, is he able to survive? He does even better than that. He takes the first blood. And now for EP, they're very committed into this. They're being bombarded with utility. YZK, XQQ low, but it's DAY to get the kills. And then immediately, EP outport on A. Stallions can't hold on. What on earth is happening?
Yeah, this setup is just not working, right? Like, KLB did everything perfectly. He was able to get the, the flash that was perfect, and that's why he got that easy kill. The player was blind. They were just gambling. They had no idea. But then again, there's no reinforcements. They don't have the players to be able to back him up. So he's pretty much on a lonely island, and he has no idea what to do, and all his resources are gone. So now you're putting KLP on this 1-on-3. Look, HP's low, timer's halfway through, but he's going to have to be lights out. He has to be able to find multiple different angles of duels, but it ain't going to happen. It's going to be a full face of lead, and now we're talking about Evolution Power. Slowly and surely, they're on the brink of finding this map.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they are playing, I think, much better than the Stallions right now. It feels like Stallions are maybe just a little bit blinded by the lights on the stage, especially when it comes to these really high-pressure moments, because we were speaking about Stallions and how that they were working the map and how it looked and felt really good, especially in that first half. Now the sides have swapped over. It just feels like they are not playing together as a team. It doesn't feel as cohesive as we're used to seeing. And of course, we're being a little bit critical of the Stallions, but that's because they've given themselves such high expectations, especially over the last calendar year. And that was all the stage and the desk was saying as well, right? These two teams, top 4 at the previous EWC, one of them not even making the playoffs. Like, this is looking a little bit dire, a little bit out of sorts and out of whack, especially for Stallions when this is their pocket pick. This is the map that they like to go into, especially against EP.
Yeah, and this again goes back to where, I'm glad you bring up the expectations, because I think where Stallions have really catapulted on a high position, right? Like, they're one of the teams from their region where everyone was like, nobody really knows much about them. They showed up for some qualifiers last year. They were able to upset some big teams. Then they started ringing the alarm bells. Everyone's like, hang on a second, like, who are these guys? And I think you kind of go from that, like, unknown, people don't know who you are, to being just, again, in the conversation of a favorite in the tournament. And I did kind of beg the question with this, with some of the talent, where I was like, look, is that a bad thing for these guys? Like, is that where maybe it's getting in their head a little bit, where they know they're one of the best teams and they know in their region they are the best team? I don't know. They're a young group. They're a young team. So that's maybe one of these hurdles that they are going to need to overcome, right? Because they have gone deep in tournaments, but at the same breath, I mean, they haven't been able to really, get over the line with some of these top, CFPL teams that they have to go against.
When expectations change, when you become championship mentality, your identity shouldn't change as a consequence.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like Stallions, especially in this game, compared to previous ones, previous openings, they definitely changed up the way that they've been playing, and it is really affecting them. At least we've got deep coverage in this round, right? We've got Loy all the way in towards Machine, but EP, They understand this is going to be the consequence. They understand that Stallions potentially are going to go back towards that line of thinking. They're just going to be patient. We know that they've got the time to do so. That bomb actually is congregating over towards Machine Room. There's going to be a big fight here in a sec.
Big duel, a lot of bodies onto this one, so it's a little bit of a bar fight, and now No's going to be able to find that opener, but now Loy, he needs to be able to do something beautiful, and at least it's something to find that double. So it gives the slightest advantage right now for Stallions. It gives them that one player up in the advantage, but is it really going to matter right now? You still have YZK, he's been playing phenomenal. You have XQQ, he's had himself a very decent tournament so far. These two guys alive, that is still a big threat right now.
And these fights are individual, but they haven't over-rotated massively. So you got KLB that can still sort of be here towards JJ, but there's that opening pick. And as I say, KLB can now rotate over. Smokes will come in, but KLB's already ahead of the line. Did YZK spot him? Did he see? KLB did immediately. And yeah, you're right. Maybe it doesn't matter. KLP, now part of that dynamic duo, has to clutch up in this 1v2 here for Stallions. This feels like a clutch of seismic proportions. You need to get this done over the line. Throws it into the 1 versus 1, searching for an opportunity, but the smoke is up. And YZK is out of there.
Yeah, you can see that even YZK is actually repositioning himself in the same position,
smart.
right? He's like, look, my teammate did this. Maybe I can reposition. He's going to go all the way around. Oh, my dear goodness. KLP has no idea. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. And how does KLP get away with it? I do not understand. It's different clutches from both these teams. But Stallions, a lifeline from KLP, gets something back for revenge. But my goodness, I felt like EP had that one so easily in the bag.
All he needed to do was just slow down and be a little bit more patient. You take an extra 2, 3, hell, even 5 seconds there, and you've got that round in the palm of your hands. Crazy shots from KLP, who understands exactly what's going on. That's how much it means to the Stallions. That was the most crucial round so far we've had in sub-base.
Man, this map is absolutely delivered, and this is only game 1 and map 1, right? Like, this is nuts. And again, I mean, Stallions, they absolutely needed something, right? Because if they would have lost that clutch, that would have been an 8-4 that we're talking about. EP would have been just riding on a high from that too. So thankfully for Stallions fans, live another day on this one. And if we know anything about both these teams, like, these guys are grinders, right? Like, these guys will absolutely go the distance if they need to, especially EP has proven that, many times in this tournament so far. But we'll have to see what happens here and now. Single sniper here for the Stallions, and it does look like the same effect here for EP, so they're not going to double on this one.
It's interesting how they're using the sniper for EP in this round. This was a lot more of a lurk. Like, he just dropped the grenade outside of Machine Room, and now YH really wanted to fight. I like the double nades. That's actually going to force JJ away from the fight, so he can't swing off the Stallions flashbang. No's now trying to occupy space, but 2WW's in the vent.
Yeah, this is good though. 2WW's position is very strong because, again, No's not even spotting this at all yet. They're hyper-focused. They're worried about wood control. So 2WW might be able to find the best timing in the world. If there's a flash that comes through wood, he could actually try to drop down, and he has himself pretty much guaranteed a free kill. So now you can see KLB's yelling for reinforcements, and JJ finds the spray down, looking for a little bit more, but it seems like his appetite was a bit too big, and now Loy does respawn back, but again, bodies are starting to hit the floor, but this time it's EP side. Stallions get a wake-up call, and it's 2 in a row for them.
Huge round out of Loy. Like, the fact that he catches 2WW, because as you're saying, look, you've got that crossfire spinning up into gear for Stallions, but 2WW could have undone all of that, especially where so much resource was being put forward just to get him there, to get him the chance to have the multi-kills. It doesn't happen. It's a one-round game. And now here for EP. They don't have the sniper spotting out machine. XQQ's going to go over towards Wood, and he's really hoping that JJ will overextend. That's close, but not quite.
Yeah, some warning shots a little bit from XQQ, but now this is a round that we're probably going to see everybody just, again, kind of slowly pump those brakes and just say, look, we got to take a breather. This thing's getting really, really close. I mean, we're talking about EP. They had a lead. Now that lead is dwindled a little bit. Now Stallions realizing, look, we got to make sure we don't get too ahead of ourselves. We got to make sure we take this round by round. So both these teams putting a lot of respect for round number 14.
Look at the read. Like, they've completely given up this mid side. They've completely given up Wood. And Stallions have said, look, we feel like you're going to come in towards the speed bomb site. Come get it. walk into our setup. CROSSFIRE feels good between Loy and No, and you've even got KLP that can take first contact.
Yeah, and look at Loy's position right now, because again, he might be able to just surprise us. No's going to try to be the first point of contact, then it's his teammates going to be able to swing. Loy! There it is! That's what I'm talking about! Finds that double kill, but again, not enough. You see that YZK still putting up a little bit of a threat, but his HP's low. It's already well over less than half. And now KLP getting a little bit hungry, wants this duel. Maybe that could be dangerous, but his teammate's there to save his back.
Getting a little bit frustrated with EP in some of these rounds, and just the deployment of their sniper in particular and what they're trying to accomplish here. Because again, back-to-back rounds actually feels like XQQ is just not really relevant in the round whatsoever. And I don't know if this is a sub-based thing, especially over on BL, but it feels like it'd be a lot more beneficial if he's with the pack.
Yeah, I agree, and this is where like kind of these lurks can be a little bit of a problem. Oh man!
Oh no!
What a massacre! What a bit of a speed run! This is a DM round if I've ever been able to see one. It's a flawless one to add on to injury, and now Stallions, they got themselves a lead.
And that is classic Stallions, and that is going to get in the head if you're EP, because they've just run you down. That round has been the quickest we've seen all map long, done and dusted within 15 seconds.
And that's what we were talking about, right? We were like saying, look, like Stallions are a team, they like to get in your face, they like to get ultra aggressive.
They're doing it again.
And it's perfect. Why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You got to try it again.
They're through the smoke.
And EP are not ready for this. Like, what is going on? Now EP, they lose their first body because they're realizing, okay, I think Stallions are really doing this again.
Look at 2WW.
This
two
is not good.
WW's in the vent now.
Oh, dear. This could be bad, though.
Oh, look at this. Is so weird. KLP's just going to get backstabbed. I love this. He's waiting so patiently because now he can find the double kill. 2WW. How about that for a lurk?
What an amazing read from the new addition of this team. And like you said, there was a bit of mistakes made from Stallions. Again, they go for the aggression. They find the duel. A nade getting pulled out because he's like, I know he's behind the door. If I throw this nade, I'm going to kill him. He gets swung. He gets removed. This is a huge play. 2WW has proven countless times how much of a value he is for this team.
You almost get tunnel visioned if you're Stallions. You're making the same play again, right? And then you get immediately shut down. Look at this. I love it out of XQQ. Now we're getting the sniper to be a bit more proactive. EP missed the shot, missed the mark. They back out.
And now for EP, XQQ has taken some big damage on this one. But again, now for Stallions, they're going to give up that wood control. They're not going to play ultra aggressive again. They're just trying to, again, just kind of throw a couple jabs, kind of get a little bit of damage inflicted here. That's fine. And look at EP. Right back to the way they've done this, taking this ultra slow. They're going to wait things out, collect their thoughts, figure out what do they want to do. This is where Stallions, are going to be careful too, because we already see them burning a smoke. I really want to make sure they can preserve that utility as much as possible right now.
I was going to say, like, it feels like the global risk side are rattled right now, because they don't want to push in case they get held. So instead, they are just blocking with their utility, but they are depleting it at quite an alarming rate. YH has got good space over towards Machine, starts spamming the wood, expecting players to be there. It's just Loy. It's Loy versus the world. If EP decides to commit in and instead they don't, they're going to reset the situation, but that's going to play right into Stallions' hands.
Yeah, and the thing that's been really noticeable about EP is that typically we see XQQ as that guy that's the lurk. The previous round, we got to see 2WW. He was like, hang on, man, I'm going to play the same game here. Let me lurk. Let me find the timing. So this is where they're mixing things up nicely. KLB now with the flash. He's going to have to be able to find these kills, but JJ has been able to save him. But again, the new addition of 2WW still prevails. He's still just being that threat. That dagger seems to be going a little bit deeper, but what is going on? That was just throwing a pistol to a gunfight.
They just keep relocating. EP are now trying to drag the rotations away, now trying to drag them right back. 2WW is taking matters into his own hands, and this is either genius or insane, and I can't figure out which one. He's got the C4 by himself over towards the vent, and with 20 seconds left, that surely is a determining factor. You can't go forward. You have to go in towards B, surely, but no, instead, he goes further.
Oh man, is he really going to drop? Okay, so if he drops and he's dead, this could be all over the placement, and there he is, makes his presence known, but luckily Loy is going to be able to save it. That was a really risky move, and honestly, like you said, I saw the bomb there, and I'm like, no, like there's just no way you're doing this again. 2WW has clearly made his position vent control, right? He wants to go there. I thought it was a bit dicey for me, and it seems like it is, right? Now Stallions have put themselves on map point. I don't know how we got here, but we're here. And the way that this game's going,
we need more.
It's going to be more, right? Like, it has to be.
It has to be. This is nice. This is a lot more aggressive. You just got to go together in that 2v2. Once you made a decision to disengage from A, you have to go B.
I absolutely agree.
I really thought they dragged the rotate out. I thought they'd give themselves a chance to set up a good crossfire in that after plant. We don't even get to an after plant. Overcomplicated. Pressure now being applied at the highest level here in our elimination game. And now we've got EP. Basically everyone together. We're just going to ignore XQQ. We know he's going to be over there by himself. Going in towards B. We live and die on the same machine room crossfire that broke EP's back and gave Stallions momentum initially.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this little bit of a pyramid here from Stallions. Again, they're just waiting for this because No should be the player that's just like kind of posted up on this. They're spamming Loy. Great read from EP. They're like, okay, everybody just spam it. He should be here. Now they should realize, okay, this is the setup that broke our backs originally. Let's just wait things out. Let's not try to take this. We need to just disengage for the time being.
This is nice out of JJ. He's just re-peeked in towards Wood, dropped a deep nade as well, expecting there to be the slight difference is XQQ, no sniper. He's actually just gone straight for the rifle. 2WW in the vent again. This is only unexpected so many times. Surely Stallions are going to be covering the vent now.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's becoming a little bit more of like an obvious thing that we're noticing from them. But again, he has been able to get away with it. But KLB, like, I'm going to eat my own words. He's going to pop and just get like a double kill or something.
They're out A. Like, there's no one here to defend this. Now 2WW must be thinking, well, this guy has to be in towards the window. KLB now gets the bad news, but he still gets rid of ZAY. And now 2WW can just lie in wait. Overtime hinges a lot on whether he can find a multis XQQ. Instead, it's 2WW getting the frag. And in fact, everyone from EP is now dialed in. It's all up to No, as it normally is for Team Stallions. But clutching this is going to be borderline impossible. And YH will lock it in. We will need more rounds here on the A stream.
Yeah, that was just, again, I feel like Stallion just kind of played a silly little bit of a tactic. Like they were playing the full retake, but I mean, it was a good idea from the player in window or in, you know, in the control room like that, where he was just trying to get that one duel. But again, nobody's there to be able to be assistance. And then that lurk from 2WW just seemed to be a little bit too problematic. You had a player trying to go through vent. He gets removed. So, yeah, we're going overtime. We were talking about it, and it's going to definitely deliver. We said this game had a lot at stake for a lot of different reasons, and boy, oh boy, this thing ain't over yet.
At least we get a side switch. We can see Stallions now on the offense, and it's the fastest we've ever seen. Stallions take space over towards Wood. Surely that nade will do the job on 2WW. Lives on a prayer, and then some. It's actually ZAY to get rid of KLP, and he follows it up on towards Loy. Sure, 2WW get eliminated, but at what cost?
Yeah, I love the pace change on this from Stallions. I love the fact that they just tried to get ultra aggressive. A little bit of robbery for 2WW not to go down instantly like that. I thought the nades were going to do the job. Now for Stallions being down the numbers, they're going to have to figure out how do they find a duel? How do they engage in this one-on-one battle? Well, YZK, he's the guy that's sniping as well as XQQ. So this is where, again, they're going to have to be able to find him and making sure they can out-duel him. He's been lights out so far. YH getting ultra aggressive. I was thinking that might be a little bit careless, but he gets away with it. And now, the fact that KLB is just going for a swing here too. He needs to be able to find this double kill. Not going to happen. And XQQ delivers time and time again.
It just feels so scary whenever you see sort of those types of fights lean up, especially in the favor of Stallions. And yet XQQ holds on with his pistol, guarantees the fight. Stallions known to overpeak. This time is an exception. That should be the way that they try and get in towards that A-bomb site. Does not happen. And look how much it means to them.
Yeah, the rhythm seems to be a little bit off for Stallions right now. I really feel like they're kind of just surviving. They're kind of gasping for air, right? I mean, this is where I think EP have really been playing the better game so far.
This is really cool. They triple swung on towards the choke point. Now they're almost boosted on top of his head. I don't know about this one. YH under an excruciating amount of pressure. Wide swing in for YH. And all of the kills being collected as well.
Oh my goodness. You talk about somebody delivering as an anchor, and that is the best demonstration you can have right there. It seemed like he was gone, but maybe not.
Difficulty is getting the bomb. That's going to be the real test for Stallions. It is deeply nestled within the A-bomb site, and Stallions are nowhere near. It relies on Loy maybe going through the window or maybe going all the way around the world.
Yeah, I mean, this is where they're going to have to be perfect on the timings, right? Again, they have a minute and 30, but look at XQQ. He's just lined up ready. They could try to go all the way around potentially on this, but they're going to have to somehow slither through this And they have that utility available for both these players, so they could try something. But even just going dry like this is not a bad idea. You're kind of playing a little bit of a guessing game.
Don't throw util. Don't throw util. Like, surely they'll know exactly where you are if you throw the utility. No, actually, smoke off XQQ. Remember, YH incredibly low. 1 minute left on the clock. I guess you can still relocate here if you're Stallions, but they want to take the fight head up. Nice nade, or at least flashbangs, but YH has got a supreme angle despite his low HP. Loy will eventually get the best of him, but XQQ in the meanwhile on site will deal with his teammate. And now it falls to Loy to try and clutch things up. XQQ has been harassed by nades at the back of the bomb site. Will finally be living, but only on a small amount. It's Loy to reset the situation, to try and scavenge a 1 versus 1 fight, but YZK feels like he's expertly ready for this. Loy, how's the timing? It's not good enough.
I don't know why these guys are not checking their corners. Like, we've now seen 2 different rounds where these guys are not checking a basic angle. Like, I mean, again, you know that teams like to play that stair position. You know that would have been smart. You know there's a player missile. You knew there was a player just on the side boxes there. You're thinking, okay, where on earth would that third guy be? And he's going to be here. So, I mean, YZK like gets gifted a kill. A little bit of a misplay, in my opinion, from Stallions. That was an opportunity. They could have clutched it. It was definitely difficult. Do not get me wrong, but there was a world they could have made that happen.
He just needed to look at his corner.
You just got to check your 6, man. You know, like, you just got to check around.
You had time.
You do. And that's the thing. Like, he had plenty of time. I love the re-rotate he was going for and repositioning and everything, but it just felt like he was kind of antsy, like, okay, I got to take down this, you know, player and missile. That's all he did. He got kind of laser tunneled, or tunnel visioned, I should say. Not even a laser.
He was locked in.
Yes, if he was a laser, he would have won it. Whew, 21 rounds. We go, B-Dog.
And then some.
And then some.
Potentially even more. Stallions will now go towards Machine Room. And in fact, it's going to be a very quick hit towards the B-bomb site. And again, Stallions, this is their trademark. This is pacey. Let's see if they can get in.
Look at ZAY. Again, he's going to get smoked out here too, but he's got the perfect rifle for this battle if needed. And Stallions, do you disobey this? Do you actually just try to, you know, abuse this smoke? And it looks like they're going to. And now ZAY can only get the 1 kill. That's a perfect trade here from Stallions.
And then they cut through. They completely eviscerate this bomb site as until YZK happens. He's able to get not only 1 kill with the sniper, 1 with the pistol, 2 WW rotates in time, and it's a comprehensive shutout from EP.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely, you know, when we're talking about MVPs for like a map, I'm definitely thinking that YZK has got to be on the top here. He's been able to find multi-kills. He's finding these duels that are so impactful at the right moment, the right time. Look at him in there, just getting a double kill. Look at how much that disjointed the attack. And Stallions, they fell right on their knees.
They've been very impressive. I think 2WW has also been very significant, especially considering like his tenure within this team is just very recent. XQQ's now just found the opener, and this is smart. This is just direct. KLB now needs to spin up a multi, and how about a collateral then? 3 kills immediately. YZK drops to the same fate, and now XQQ can't hold on. Power couple on that bomb site. JJ and XLB will shut down A.
That's what he's been waiting for, right? He's been playing this like sole position, just anchoring that, you know, missile and that truck, and then he finally is able to showcase what he can do, and then it's beautifully done, like you said, just tapping away, being able to find those duels, and that's something they needed. But now they're gonna have to do everything in their abilities. They have to absolutely dig deep in the pocket here to pull 2 rounds in a row, then to push this thing to a golden round. I'm not to say it can't happen, it definitely can, but man, what a task to have ahead of you.
Just feels like you've got really meticulous gameplay up against just mechanical brilliance. And you are really just clashing heads all the time in these rounds. Still stressful for Stallions.
Well, that's what I mean. I feel like this, in my opinion, I feel like Stallions have been just, again, in the deep end of the pool. They've just been, like, struggling to get their breath, right? They just can't seem to be swimming that well. It's the EP that I feel like have been just treading on decent water this whole game.
Just feel like you expect a little bit. Like I know No's only got 14 like frags, and that's still pretty impressive. But I just expect more meaningful output from him. Same with KLP as well on that sniper. XQQ's been brilliant at finding openers. Just need a little bit more towards the back end of this game now for KLP.
Yeah, absolutely. Seems like some of the players have been able to give us like little moments of brilliance, but then it just seems like it fades away into the darkness. So this is where now Stallions, their backs are on the board. They cannot sacrifice another round. It is pretty much you have to be perfect. This is now where you're going to have to do everything to line up everything. Cross your T's, dot your I's, and get this thing done.
Check your corners.
Yeah, check your dang corners.
This is a nice little jump from KLB just to try and get advanced info. But you know where 2WW is always going to be. This is nice. This is a lot of wood control now for EP. KLB will spot them at least, so at least Stallions understand what's happening. Deep nade. Oh, that is brilliant. Onto JJ, and now we can't push.
Yeah. He hasn't been in this position before, though, right? So this is where, again, EP, are they going to expect this?
They're expecting no, and they're expecting JJ too. But immediately, all the screws just get undone by Stallions. That's really nice from EP. And then you're going to lock this game out, surely.
There you go. It's done and dusted. Evolution Power have been able to get across the finish line on map number 1. What a nail-biter for EP to be able to pull through, but Stallions, they did not make it easy, but EP have definitely showed us that they are still here to compete, and they absolutely do not want to go home yet.
Yeah, look, this is now stressful for Stallions because it felt like they were in the lead. EP took over. Stallions then mounted another comeback, and it felt like their map choice was going to go in their favor. And now what have you got instead? You've got Ankara, you've got EP's pocket pick, and Stallions are now really on the back foot. They risk elimination, and they risk their key being crushed.
Yeah, these couple minutes are going to have to be critical for Stallions. They're going to have to figure out a way for them to be able to pull something through. They're going to have to figure out a way that they can get something done, but a lot at stake, a lot of conversations to be had. We'll let the desk break it all down for us because, again, they're going to have a lot of words to say for this one. So, guys, take it away.
The rematch from last EWC is well underway, and what a battle it was for the win, which EP was able to accomplish. Stallions tried to fight back, even at the very start, right? Winning round number 1, but then EP fights back. Stallions forced to then recover. They do so, but then in the end, it was EP ultimately getting the win. Such a violent battle all the way through. Ends 13-10, Kyle, and I gotta say, it was a lot closer than I thought it would be. It went a lot longer than I thought it would as well.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth in this one, but it's a huge win for EP because historically, this is not the map this team takes away from Stallions, and now the rest of this pool looking very, very good for EP moving forward.
Yeah, we were surprised that the sub-base was allowed through, right? That it wasn't just banned in the first phase there, but you could tell that Evolution Power have done their homework, right? They were really anticipating this pick, and there was a lot of great counterplays, right? We could see that when they came to the Blacklist side, there were a lot of these early punishes on A, multiple rounds in a row, and you could see that then there was this reaction from Stallions to start moving things up, but that was anticipated by Evolution Power, and it really felt like they had a great read on the game. Great comeback from Stallions, don't want to discredit them at all, but Evolution Power have seriously done their homework.
Yeah, Lucy, that's a great point, and something Kyle also brought up to me as well. Like by round 3, you were like, okay, I can see why EP let this map get through despite Stallions being so talented when it comes to sub-base. EP came in with a totally different game plan than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, the big thing they changed here is the number one mistake everybody makes against Stallions is allowing them to take 1v1 aim duels. They played this as a unit. They made sure No wasn't able to get those multi-kill threads we're used to seeing out of him, and they were always catching him in rotation, which I really loved seeing from EP.
Yeah, because it was the period, right, where Stallions were able to get away with that. It felt like, you could see that they were about to come back into the game and get this really great run on the Blacklist side, and they had this great fluidity to their gameplay, right? It really felt like they were in this flow state, but then Evolution Power were able to disrupt that consistently, and you can kind of see here in the distribution of kills. I mean, such a massive setups from some individuals. XQQ, absolutely phenomenal. I think that clutch that he won out when he repositioned around and caught them in the backside, I mean, that was a real start for Evolution Power to get back into the game.
XQQ on the snipe was phenomenal, locking lanes down, hitting excellent shots. 2WW was also sensational. The new addition to Evolution Power, replacing Mino. We've talked about that storyline, but 2WW so valuable to this team, Kyle.
100%. Not only him, I feel like YH as well stepped up a lot. Looking at those A anchors in particular, there's so many key moments from him. I think back to that 3K where he just could not be traded, and that was such a pivotal round to push EP into overtime. And with 2WW's mind behind this team now as well, they feel like they've reached a new height.
Yeah, I mean, there were still some great moments coming through from Stallions. Like, you remember the KLP 1v2, right? Where that kind of was given over to him a little bit with the sound cues coming through. But you can see the nerves starting to arise from both teams. And I think that's a big thing with this matchup for me because, you know, there's been such a big hype around Stallions after last year. It's very different coming through as the underdogs, as this unknown team. Now you're a team that people know how you play. They know what to expect. They know exactly the sort of crossfire that you want to play, and they're going to be prepared for it. And the pressure changes in that dynamic. You're no longer the underdogs, you're the favorite, and people are coming for you.
Coming from indeed. Stallions got to snap back if they want to stay alive, but now they would need to win 2 back-to-back maps. EWC play is phenomenal. We've been looking at some of your predictions, and there's other ways to get involved. Check it out.
He thinks he can come in here and play my game. Let's go. He knows nothing. Let's go!
Tyler won. You're done.
This is my ladder. You can't climb it.
That's an AL airline.
Somebody better hold me.
Okay, yeah. Do something then.
Raw energy. House of blow the house down.
Stallions, Evolution Power Gaming, it's not done with by any stretch of the imagination. We're going into game 2, and I would be remiss if I did not see a tiebreaker game number 3. I think that's where we're going. Next map is going to be on Ankara. A different play style compared to sub-base, and also the map pick for the Stallions overall. EP actually going with the sub-base pick. So for Ankara, we know Stallions, they've got a deep map pool. They understand Ankara even better than sub-base, I would have to say. Going into this, though, how do you think this matchup is going to look, Kyle?
I feel like this is a really strong map for EP. It's been avoided in a lot of the series they've played so far, but I think this is actually one where they can take it 2-0. Historically, they've been a very, very strong team on this map, and Stallions, they've looked pretty shaky on this map lately.
Yeah, they avoided it in both the vetoes they played against this team, even first banning it once instead. So it was a really nice pick over the Black Widow when it wasn't available. This has been played twice by Stallions here so far, as you say, right? One, it was a great win over Geeky, but against Liquid, not so great, right? It was 10-5. And my big concern really is, again, the playstyle, right? You can really slow it down here for Evolution Power, which disrupts Stallions, but also the snipers, right? KLP, I don't think we're getting the highs maybe we hope from him, whereas XQQ, it feels like he can do no wrong.
Yeah, you know, Evolution Power Gaming, big talking point there when they lost to Vitality was they looked discombobulated, didn't have a designated AG.AL leading the charge. It seems like they put all that to the side coming into day number 3. Because let's face it, they realize if we don't come in all succinct and on the same page, we're not beating Stallions.
Yeah, you can tell they've really adapted throughout this tournament. They had one of the roughest starts we've seen, but since then looking stronger and stronger every time they get in the server, and now they have a pick they're very comfortable on to go into to try and close out this series.
Stallions, they've got to fight back. It's not going to be easy, but nothing ever is if you want to lift the trophy. Going into it, we take a look at No, the star-studded player who pulled off 26 kills on sub-base just yesterday. This time, only 19, still very respectable. The score was incredibly close, but they're going to have to dig deep, and Coach Tanks is going to have to get them all on the same page and give them the confidence because they're going to need it. Evolution Power Gaming leading 1-0 in the series, but we head to Ankara. Will Stallions come back, or will they be eliminated from this year's EWC? Let's find out. Casters, take it away.
Should be a really difficult game now for Stallions, but I'm with the desk. I'd love to see a tiebreaker between these two teams because I feel like they earned it, especially after that sub base. But with EP taking it, now onto their choice of Ankara, there's going to be a really, really tough challenge here for the Stallions, unless Loy can start getting kills like that.
Yeah, maybe there was just enough fuel for these guys and Stallions with that loss that they're like, okay, now we got to do the reverse sweep. We got to get things done, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a good opening duel. They take down the heavy hitter of 2WW. But double sniper is going to be available here for EP. They're not going to let go of that game plan and that strategy. So we'll have to see how they'll play into effect of this. But now the defense has to play this 2-2. But it's looking a little bit thin on the B side. This A side, if Stallions decide to go for it, they are kind of running into a little bit of a trap. YH has to pop off. That's a good kill. That's the bomb down as well. Whoa. Oh, beautifully done being able to find the 2. And look at this. B-Dog, they are just making a massacre out of this, and Stallions, they can't find seem to find a trade until then.
That's a massive overextension. I can understand why he's done it, right? A lot of damage over towards No. But at least that's bought time. Although I say that, XQQ is nowhere near. So YZK, you feel like it has just got to take his time. No will pick up the sniper because it's on low HP. Has a little glance. Bomb not committed just yet. And again, that is just slowing down the rotation here of EP, but No, really cognizant of the fact that they could be all the way around the world. I don't know if I like this. No, having a look with the sniper, and he spots one player. Are they going to swing this? Surely not. Surely you just plant the bomb, or maybe you can just get the kill. Nice from No, and surely this is a Stallions round.
Yeah, you got the time. I mean, it's good that they're actually just trying to play together, and look at that. Even for No, he's like, yeah, all right. I'm annoyed. I'm going to be able to find some kills. I'm just going to go into activation mode and do what I need to do. And I don't even mind it. It can be risky, I agree, but I think considering they had that over a minute that they had remaining, why not go for the double swing? Why not just try to take down that player? Very, very nicely done. Good communication from this squad, being able to just, utilize an isolated duel and just guaranteeing themselves that opener.
Feels bad for YH because it felt like he did everything there as well. ZAY overextends massively. And again, you understand because of the low HP, but it's that butterfly effect into giving Stallions the round. And if EP were able to maybe generate momentum early in Ankara, surely that is Stallions just out of the series. It's an important round, despite it only being the first.
Good little attempt on the nades here, just against ZAY, but doesn't do too much damage, but at least it's something. Anything will do. You got to wound these guys somehow. Ooh, and they're going to go for the A-pop. I like this. Depending, and looks like they're only going to have just the one player throwing the paw flashes. I'm kind of wondering where the lineup's going to be on the top box here, but maybe they're just going to try to just go for the paw flashes and just barrel on in.
No's got one as well, so maybe you can double stack it just to break through.
Yeah.
Instead, it's the smoke being lined up, and there goes those pop flashes over the top, and the trade is good enough.
So they got to be careful, though, because this smoke's not really blocking the fence here. So this allows ZAY to still be, a bit of a threat. Now they're finally getting them through. They got themselves through the main corridor. So now they're just going to wait on that util. But now EP, indeed, they're starting to pick up some kills. They're already hot on the heels.
They've even planted the bomb. So 2WW's putting a lot of pressure on XQQ, then tries to come around the corner. It falls to Loy, and if he can pick off some stragglers, that could be the way back in. Meanwhile, No has dealt with ZAY. That gives space on the site indirectly, and that means that Loy and No are now going to regroup and try and plant.
Yeah, they still got 39 seconds that they can work with, but again, they got to be careful about this too, because you can get this plant through. You're not going to get spotted, so this is going to buy them a little bit more time. But in their best case, if they can find a duel right here and now, that can equalize things. Again, two of these players are very wounded. Like, these guys are just limping through this. Like, they are not surviving well on it. But No is trying to just reposition as much as possible. Nade's going to be a bit too premature. So it is going to have to be a bit of a gunfight in this battle. How do EP want to take this? Again, XQQ's going in by himself, and now No, he's tasked here with a 1-on-3, making it down to the 1-on-2, and EP with a big swing. And they're right back into this game.
I could be mistaken, but I think the role of XQQ is really cool in this round because he was deliberately spotting to see whether they had crossed towards CT or not, and towards the GR spawn, excuse me. And because of that, what happens is you then get the players just closing up because he spots both of them on the bomb site. So the flank can then close in, and it's a really effective squeeze coming in from EP. Nicely handled by that sniper. As Stallions just can't hold on. And it's a good idea from EP. They're already making the map feel a lot more claustrophobic just by pushing the extremities.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good play from XQQ. Just, again, be a little bit of the sacrifice, too, right? Just like, yep, it's all good. And if he goes down, then he can at least communicate that, look, like, they went against me. They're putting their attention on this way. You have a split second. Take it, right? So it's a good thing when you have that number advantage, especially in CROSSFIRE. You can take, a world of opportunities here where, you know, Stallions were just desperate for a duel. Oh. Good shot from Loy. Nice little bit of a taparino. So now YH not going to be able to find it. Stallions don't want to take advantage of this, though, right? Normally we see a team, they win that duel, they kind of want to barrel on in quickly, they want to rush into it. This time, they're going to catch their breath, they're going to take a little bit more on this one. And EP, they're going to have to reconvene their game plan, and you can see AA leaving the singular in mid and just that sole anchor of XQQ and B to lock things down.
Look at the nades as well. Like, they actually got a lot out of that just from getting the opening kill. ZAY doesn't have any utility whatsoever. So you're relying a lot more on gunfire. You're relying a lot on XQQ to be able to hold the line here for EP. Feels like 2WW could rotate over, flashbang forward, and now another smoke being dropped by Stallions. They're really selling the idea, and that's going to keep EP rooted, at least for a moment.
It's all about this timing. Good flashes coming through. Is XQQ going to be able to reposition himself? His teammates are starting to make the rotate through. Look at that low ground. He does find the one only. But now YZK close into the site. I don't know if Stallions are going to be aware of that. That might be a little bit of a peekaboo, but now they do. The suspicions are true. And look at this. Lloyd is absolutely popping off now, leaving it to ZAY, and Stallions very much a fire in the belly to still keep themselves in this game.
Tell you what, I'm really impressed with the way that they go through that bomb site, because 2WW's got the kill. He's now running all the way around you, then got that disjointed spacing that is actually going to work out when you've got a lurk and a flank on from EP. It was a player in the site that I think wide swings way too much. YZK, if he just chilled for a little bit, all the contact was being taken elsewhere. He could have been that fly in the ointment. He could have been the ultimate disruptor there for EP. Instead, he overplays his hand and he gives Stallions all of the fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where, you know, again, these split-second decisions can be so detrimental, right? Where we see some of these guys that are that one quick decision and it becomes problematic. And like you said, YZK, he was very lights out in the beginning, and now look at JJ. Look at JJ. He just goes on in. He's like, oh, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have the right protocols. I just want to be loose and unorthodox. I want to be able to find something. So now they got themselves a plant.
And what does that mean? He wants to play like the way Stallions have been playing. And that's how they should. Like, I'm being serious. Like, it's really nice to see that JJ is just taking that initiative. Good finds, though. From XQQ and 2WW, that was out of nowhere. So now you've got a significant player disadvantage. It's all crumbled. It's felt really good on the entries, and those are the only 2 kills that Stallions can find. EP, very much like sub-base, they don't allow Stallions to snowball a lead.
Yeah, the positionings from EP was great because, again, you could see that Stallions were trying to get an aggressive post-plant positions. They were just trying to take some control, but EP were just kind of sitting back. They're already ready, expecting that to happen, and they read them like a book. So it's just a bit of a misplay from Stallions. I mean, it's a tough one because we give a lot of criticism for teams that just kind of like hunker in the site. It's not going to be easy, but it seems like everybody just tried to spread out as much as possible, but it just felt like a bit too much all at one shot.
It feels like a common criticism, especially here at EWC. It's just that players make individual moves when they should be thinking about the team identity and moving together and being tradable. Like, I feel like a lot of these rounds go typically awry because you're giving over individual gunfights when you really don't need to.
Yeah.
That's something that AG.AL was really good at, and that is why they're the defending champions, because the way they set themselves up, especially in post plants and retakes, they're always together. King Zero the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, I think it's the best way you described it. It's just the protocols, right? Those protocols are just like top notch, like A+. So that's where some of these teams, we get to start seeing these, like, you know, the Achilles heel where they're starting to make these little mistakes, but it can have such a big impact in the game. So, and that's what it is, right? We talk about the split-second decisions that can be just so detrimental in a game.
This is scary here. 2WW just on his own, essentially, and he was just jiggling just to get information. Has got the info, and it's going to be a rude awakening. Those nades straight into Hotel, they're going to get rid of him.
It's a good clearing because, again, what Stallions are doing well is they're finding a duel. They're not just rushing to it. They're taking their time. They're just going to, again, regroup. So now you can see that EP, look at that duel. That is leaned on the GR side. That is leaned on that B side. Now EP are going, you know what? They're not actually going to go here. They're starting to get a little bit of a read. This is a good call from the AG.AL right now.
You just got to set up, though. Like, you have to be in good positions, and YZK certainly is. Maybe that's a second shot for the sniper. Instead, it is the rifles that do all the heavy lifting. And out of nowhere, EP arrive on the A-bomb site, and they dismantle this aggression out of Stallions. Loy can't hold on, surely. This 1v3 is going to be tricky. And they're just waiting. They're biding their time. They're making it excruciatingly painful for Loy. EP win back-to-back rounds for the first time in Ankara.
It kind of feels like, again, like, you know, we both, I think, said the same expression. We were saying that Stallions are kind of feeling a bit tunnel vision, right? Like, they get that duel. I was giving them some praise, but at the same breath, it's like, look, you cannot just be doing the same thing over and over again. Like, you're finding that kill, it's great, but take more opportunity. Like, take the map control. Like, take advantage of Hotel. That is a lot of map presence you can have, especially being on the Blacklist side.
The biggest issue for me in that one is I like the idea to instantly rotate, but then they wanted to go pure contact.
Yeah.
And because they went pure contact, EP have already rotated over. So it's the timing of when they go, and then in that moment, because they took an extra 20 seconds to get to this site, I know the rotations are a little bit long-winded, but you just need to throw a flash over.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they would have went for a bit more of an execute or just like some decent nade work, it could have gone a long way, right? So they tried to just do it a little bit dry. So now they're trying to get something through underpass. They're trying to see if they can be able to find somebody. Good kills from Loy. Now look at that double entry. And now he's been able to create some kind of space for these guys. Smoke should be able to block off this corridor, so that's going to make it problematic here for EP. You still have YH, though. He's the guy that's kind of on the back lines. He might be able to find something through Hotel.
Potentially. But the KLP is just locking down this angle. A lot of nades, a lot of pressure over towards the bomb site. I like this back from KLP. And he's just completely icing out this choke point. EP, they're now going to group together, jump over the sniper scope. JJ, now he's in a little bit of a predicament because he gets isolated by everyone from EP. It's a concentrated effort. It's Loy that can only find kills here for Stallions. EP can do no wrong in these retakes.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of ice in the veins right now. These guys are just not being able to get the same shots and not winning the same engagements that we've been able to see before. Like, it felt like there was two different instances there that I felt Stallions should have been able to find those kills. And you can even see for the sniper of Stallions, as soon as he misses that shot in underpass, he gets overwhelmed by utility, he gets taken out immediately. His teammate can't even get that kill in Hotel.
It's just the biggest issue you have there is that reliance, that setup relies so much on you actually hitting the shot, especially on the sniper, because JJ's then just completely by himself. Hello.
Whoa, hello.
That's an easy one. That's 2WW overextending and no punishing, but we've seen no get openers in towards Hotel before, and Stallions not capitalizing off the back of it.
Double rotate coming through on the GR side, and I think that's still XQQ. Yeah, he's just posted up on underpass. He's just kind of spawning things out, but again, EP really have a bit of a read on this. They're like, yeah, I think Stallions just want to avoid A. It hasn't really been good to them. So this is good calling. They've actually vacated the site, so they are rolling the dice. Like, they are putting all the chips down, and they're like, yep, who cares? We're going to see if we can win this gamble, and I don't even mind this at all, because they've proven they can actually do a retake, even if Stallions decide to commit to A.
Good angle by ZAY as well, just tucking in, playing off this deeper contact that's going to be acquired here by the sniper. No, he's now going to reposition the bomb, and actually all the Stallions are going to reposition. So it won't be this final commitment, at least not at the moment, towards the B-bomb site. They can reset the situation, but for now, their clear focus, it's A.
It is, and that's the thing. They have the opening site, so again, this is where they have themselves in a great position to be able to get this bomb down, but then it's all about the post plan, right? That's where a lot of our criticism was, is saying like, okay, don't overextend yourselves. Like, how can you just play the perfect lineups? How can you play the trades? That's going to be the biggest piece. EP are absolutely rolling this dice. Like I said, they're going to still commit to it. Now they realize, okay, now we got to get a move on. Now we got to get the laces done, and we got to go for a run.
Yeah, KLP is now locked in and has to hold for XQQ. And yet again, EP, they're going to group. They're going to all be together here. You've even got ZAY going all the way around the world to actually consider this sniper. But this gets really interesting now because you're wasting a lot of time trying to get in towards these extremities. You're trying to just get rid of these players. KLP will deal with more. KLB will then follow through as well. ZAY, sure, he can maybe even find a kill, but that is a little bit long-winded. They just took way too long to deal with the extremity plays there rather than actually getting on the site.
Yeah, that was really done, or nicely done here from Stallions, being able to just lock things down. And like you said, EP took a little bit too long for me. Like, again, we knew what they were doing. We knew that they were just kind of posting up in B, but it felt like they were just taking a little bit too long on that one. And it was tough, right? Like, when you play these retakes, you got to be careful about that. And that is a variable you still have to solve, is that timer of the C4. So, nonetheless, EP do give up one round here to make this a little bit closer. XQQ does miss the shot, but his HP fully intact, doesn't take any speck of damage. Another full attempt on this, and Stallions very hesitant to go back for a reduel on this. It just seems like, again, like they're being hypercritical on themselves and they're really hesitating on these duels, right? Like they don't even win that engagement. They're like, nope, we're done. We don't even want to go again.
It's interesting because EP are actually giving them a lot of space. They're giving them a lot of opportunities to actually make these flanks happen. And it feels very gambly in the nature of the rotates here for EP. Like a third guy has just joined A without much reason. I like the pop flash to set up YH as he peeks with the pistol. 2WW needs to get out of there. Otherwise, No is going to find another opening pick for Stallions.
Yeah, that's a good kill. And again, Stallions being able to find these opening engagements is being very beneficial for them because that gives them that big advantage. All the HP's intact here. This is a strong position for them, but how do you capitalize on it? How do you utilize that extra body? So this is where they have to just, again, play the numbers. You cannot spread too thin here because that's what EP want. That's what EP are begging for. And you can see with the minute remaining, there's still this positioning from EP seems to be a bit hesitant. You can see double player and GR were like, do we want to go A? Do we want to go B? And look at this. Oh, they are banking on the wrong side here, B-Log. This could be really bad.
This is very detrimental, but it relies a lot. Oh, and KLB getting that frag. That's massive.
You gotta go.
You do have to. YZK, is he going to be ready for the player on the corner? He can. He is somewhat, but he misses the mark. Somehow jumps out the window, and he akimbos in with a pistol. No can now throw a smoke up. Bomb can get committed in by Loy, and somehow, some way, GR are ready to defend B.
Yeah, this is huge because now, again, this utility is dwindling a little bit here. The good flash comes in, double player flash, and this might be bad for Stallions, but no, thankfully, not all heroes have to wear a cape because he's been able to find all three, and he cleans the slate, and now we're right back to a tie game.
And that's exactly what the desk was saying. They highlighted No's performance on sub-base yesterday, 26 kills. Somehow ends the sub-base game with 19. Although it didn't really feel as impactful. This feels a lot better. This feels a lot more fruitful here for the Stallions, as they've been able to stop the mayhem of EP, especially on this defensive half. Now they're looking to build a little bit of steam of their own. You see the lights flashing at the top of the HUD. They've been winning round after round after round, all thanks to No.
YZK really needs to get this kill, but he doesn't get the kill, but he does a ton of damage. So KLP actually takes so much of it. Gets caught in the kneecap. So he's still in this game, but man, that's not going to feel good.
This is a ridiculous timing, surely. Like, they've got a lot of room here, and I don't think EP really understand. YH has got to be careful on the edge of the vent. You're relying a lot on ZAY as well to follow through with the rifle. The good news is that 2WW is also rotating over here. Those nades inconsequential, but guess what? That's not the commitment. It's also drag rotates.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because we definitely see a lot of teams actually using the triple nade stack in the vent, right, where somebody's playing that close quarter. So they actually decide to mix it. YZK gets a little bit too hungry. His eyes deceive him, and now he goes down. And again, giving Stallions another round where we see them winning the opening engagement, putting them in a power position right now in terms of players on the board.
That's a lot of info that's just been gathered. Really nice flash from YH to get 2WW on the scene. ZAY's here as well, so you've got this quick shuffle. XQQ will be communicating. He hasn't received pressure just yet, and JJ will finally answer the call. So now you're expecting one of the rifles to bail out the sniper.
Oh man, what is this positioning from XQQ? He wasn't expecting that at all, but thankfully 2WW will get it to work, absolutely. But now No, blind as a bat, still can be able to find double! Are you kidding me? No, once again, it seems like you put him in this B site. This is when he frags out. He's trying to make a little bit of a highlight reel for himself, looking for the last two if he can. He's sitting in at 12-4. He is hungry.
And I think he's going to be successful. Unless the pistols can do something. Make that rifles now for YH. Loy! No, that's a massive overcommitment. But YH is low. No goes around the corner, and it's all fine in the end. But does it need to get that close, Stallions? Does it need to get that scary?
Oh, I definitely think not, but apparently they wanted to, so they're just making me sweat here. Like, this is ridiculous. A lot of these rounds have been, you know, again, we're seeing some really good performances. This is where the desk, like you said, they talked about No and like what the impact is he brings into the game. And now we're starting to see him elevate his game, him starting to play a lot better. You know, he seems like he's evolved back into a little bit of his form, and that's what the Stallions need if they want to stay alive in this best of three.
Yep, he is carrying right now, at least He was on BL, now here on GR. He's got to really put a lot of more reliance, especially on the sniper. Like KLP, yet again, it's got to be said, I think a subpar, sub-base, now needs a very awesome Ankara. Otherwise, it's going to be very tricky. There's that lean coming in from Stallions. 3 players reside on this A bomb site. Nades are now being lined up to try and get them off this stack, and it could work. KLB is a sitting duck.
Oh, he's going to dodge it, I think, though. Yeah, he's good. So he's able to get out of it, but doesn't matter. Bullets are going to do the damage. Look at ZAY. A statement made here with the double. JJ does something, though, in a position that he's fully exposed. But now for Stallions, you got 2 players on the rotate. They're close on by. They're going to just ignore this KLP. He's just going to run in. He expects someone close on by. But no, it's EP. They're just waiting on the stairwell, and they're able to take them out of this.
Good trades. And look, JJ does get a double kill, but the fact that you've got the opening fight going your way if you're EP is completely okay. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have enough resource to be able to win out the fights eventually. Stallions, that's desperate towards the end. They understand what they're doing. Potentially trying to rush down that bomb planter, try and get a kill back in the favor, catch EP off guard. The one thing that Stallions haven't been doing for the most part in this series is catching EP off guard. They're ready for everything. Remember how meticulous, systematic this BL side was from EP on sub-base. It's going to be exactly the same here on Ankara.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it's a good point you bring up because they were trying to swing out a fence right away because they were pre-firing the green box. They were like, yep, somebody's tucked in the corner, but they were expecting EP to just be in the site. They thought they could just win those duels. And, you know, for EP, they just kind of pull back a little bit. They play patience, and it absolutely pans out very well for them.
SQQ's got to be careful because as soon as they hear the nade go off, like you could swing the Ven if you're KLB. That doesn't happen, and instead No takes a lot of damage, gets chunked down by that grenade. Bomb not yet committed either which way. YZK's just here trying to back up his sniper as he looks for more opening picks. Meanwhile, on B for Stallions, it's so passive. I mean, there's a little bit of wiggle room over towards middle for EP, but it feels like their sights are set on this A bomb site.
Yeah, it kind of feels like EP is really just, again, we talked a lot about tunnel vision, but they were like, look, we want to go here, but now they're finally realizing, look, hang on, like shake our heads a little bit. We can just mix things up. We got still a minute to work with, plenty of time to just find a kill. If they can find an engagement here quick, that could change something.
You got to be a little bit scared as well, I think, if you're EP, because where you've left this right side of the map vacant for so long, you're expecting Stallions to push into that. So you've got to actually go back and clear Hotel. You've got to be ready for these players, potentially just on these little devilish angles. And with 45 seconds left, it's actually Loy that's just jump spotting, and it's Loy that gets spotted. He needs to be careful, and he just walks straight into the Hotel angle. Now KLP is just left completely by himself. It's a great shot onto 2WW, but EP are in B.
Yeah, this is the same problem we saw from Stallions before, right? It just seems like their positioning gets a little bit disjointed and everybody seems to get clustered and then they're just fully exposed. They have no idea what to do or how to react to the situation. Now they're going to have to play the retake game. You have full utility, a full belt here for KLB. Everybody else has to be the gunfight. Pulp Flash comes in, but ZAY does go down. Doesn't even matter because his teammates, once again, they're going to be able to just throw the right-hand hook, and they got themselves right back into contention here for this lead.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I actually think outside of bomb site control, I think general map control, probably like the early to even like 70% of the round timer. Stallions, for me, especially on Ankara, feel like they're the ones that are going to do most of the damage. As soon as it gets into a retake or a post plant, that's where EP just come into their element.
Yeah, without a question. And now, ooh,
that's
nice
unlucky.
That is very unlucky, but gets some damage. Almost, I thought the clot was, almost felt like it was guaranteed there, but unfortunately not for XQQ. Good game from YH though, putting himself at 12-9. Haven't been able to see a single player here except for No putting up double digits, right? Like we talked about him just like performing now, but who's going to join him?
That's it. And if no one joins him, if no one is that second piece, I mean, the closest to it right now is Loy. But if the other couple of riflers don't step up, then you are in danger. If you're Stallions, this needs to be a concrete team effort from everyone. Otherwise, you are getting eliminated. You are not making it to the playoffs. That's the pressure you're under, especially with the score lead now escaping you straight back into this B bomb site. And sure, No's all the way deep in Hotel, but this is being considered by EP as they make inroads into B.
Yeah, this is great because now they're going to get this free plant. Now No's in a really bad position because he's going to have to either decide to retake this by himself. And he gets gifted where 2WW's not even looking at him, so he gets an easy one. And now XQQ, I was going to say how he should be able to find that, but he doesn't.
He's not scoped in. He's not holding it. And now this gets really dicey. No and Loy now look to relocate and group up together. Sure, bombs down, but it isn't that far gone. 3 versus 5. This surely has to be a Stallions round.
Yeah, it must be, because again, that timer's halfway through. Look at how much they've been able to just push into the site. They're getting this control, but maybe not. And JJ is going to be able to find that kill. He knows exactly where the last one is, but where's YH? Where is he going to hide? And it's just going to be a stick, and there we go. Full face of lead, indeed. No's going to be able to find the nail to the coffin. And Stallions, once again, they're going to be able to find this round, equalize the game to a 6-6. And we haven't been able to see a timeout yet. I mean, this is where I'm starting to beg the question. These teams are... One of these teams is going to have to call it quickly.
They had the right read on the situation. EP walking through underpass to go back towards that B-bomb site, but then 2WW is just by himself, like clearing Hotel. You have so much opportunity here, especially when you walk up on the bomb site and you see no one. Just have an extra player there. Guarantee that trade.
Yeah, absolutely. Hot dang, a 6-6 we go. Like we said, map up here for EP. If they can be able to find the win here, that means they continue on, they qualify for playoffs, and then that means for Stallions, they are done, and Key will be crushed. But don't want to get ahead of myself yet, because again, we were all talking about we'd love to see a 3-map series, and it absolutely could be the case. But it's a question of how well that defense is going to be able to hold on here for Stallions.
Last time they limit tested this A-bomb site, they were able to get in pretty freely. They're going to try and do it again. YZK lining up the utility. They are really deep in towards the vent. JJ, I don't think he's ready for how close these players are. But remember, 3 defenders right here on A. But the opening pick goes the way of EP. And again.
Yeah, that's great. Again, EP, these timings just seem to really just being a little bit of a ruse here for Stallions, right? This is where they're expecting them to be just swinging instantly. They're trying to find these engagements. And when they peak, they're not seeing a single person. And they're like, okay, where are they? We know they're here. Like, why are they not swinging? So I think they're getting a little bit frustrated, and I think EP's timing on these takes have been absolutely beautiful because, again, it's just catching these guys off guard. They're kind of, again, preparing themselves, but they're just swinging into nothing, and then when they re-swing, EP has like 2 players that are going against the one.
What's really nice as well is that there's been deliberate conditioning here, where we can speak about it just in a moment. Because, look, you're going to give this a look in, especially with no 17-16, a free KD for this man as he tries to make inroads in towards the site. It's a sharp first shot, trade immediate, KLP. It's a banger onto 2WW, but ZAY's there for the trade. Now this timeout gets taken. Now we can talk about the conditioning of EP because it has been nade after nade after nade in towards that bomb site. Where is it being put? Over towards the stairs. Then the minute EP wants to go in towards the A bomb site, they know the stairs is completely cordoned off. That means these players are just going to be in the corner holding the crossfire, or they're going to be at the top or on the other side of the map. That flashbang that they throw instead of the HE completely pops in the air and it makes everyone blinded, and it means they've got all this space. It's really well worked from EP.
And I would love to see, like for Stallions too, just being able to reposition themselves, right? We haven't really been able to see them position, you know, in the lower corridor of the stairway, or someone playing behind single box, right? Like right near the vents. Like we haven't really been able to see them utilize that lower level position. They've been just playing the high ground, and it's not working for them, right? Like they're not throwing the right utility to counter flash. They're not doing the right things to kind of stop these guys in their tracks. So this is where their defense composition has to change now. This is where you need to make some kind of an adjustment. I'm not even just talking about them getting ultra aggressive. I think it's just positional changes that are absolutely needed here, because EP, I think you've already demonstrated it. Like they're getting a good read on this. They know where to pre-nade. They know where to kind of just check for, because they've been just doing the same thing over and over.
Well, they need pre-nades as well, Stallions. You could argue that as soon as you've got a flashbang being primed to go over this A-bomb site, like just chuck a nade in the close corridor at the vent. Like that's going to do a significant amount of damage. It's going to slow them down a little bit as well when it comes to the scaling.
Yeah, no doubt. This is a really important timeout. Obviously, the one and done here for Stallions, potentially. It could be their last timeout of the tournament. We'll have to see what they've been able to talk about. What's the coach been able to impart some wisdom or not? We will find out. KLB, JJ going to be the players here into this A site.
Nice nade.
Great nade. Again, just a tiny little bit of a switch up, but look at the damage it inflicts. You got 3 players.
This isn't going to be the commitment towards A. We know that because the bomb is just on the stairs by BL. So this is, again, EP just sounding things out. And to be fair to them, like, this is actually still a nice little bit of information to gather, because you've got to remember utility is limited here in CROSSFIRE. So the fact that there's been double nades already, you know that potentially later down the line, if you're able to squeeze out a smoke or 2 from this from the A defenders, you can just reset here, and they've got nothing to do with this. They can't contest it late.
This position from Loy could be really important too. Oh man, I was going to say if he can find the timing, maybe he can get a decent little bit of a kill. But
that's
no,
a great one though. That's the bomb drop.
It is, and that you're taking down one of the snipers here too, so that is impactful. So this is like removing a pretty big threat here.
Ooh.
But no, he needs to be able to find this. Oh, ZAY. He's going to be kicking himself. He can't be able to get the job done. But at least his team AYZK are going to be able to just put that sniper in action.
Oh, nice shot from KLP. A flick down on towards ZAY. And that sent EP scrambling. They've got the idea, right, the sniper is over towards B. Surely that means there's only one defender. YZK will then get further confirmation that KLP is still here, and now you can scale. You just got to smoke or flash him off.
And look at this, EP are just going to go right up the ramp.
Oh, they
here.
missed the smoke.
Oh, they did. Oh dear, that is not good. That is so bad. And right now KLP looks, he gets a gift because that little bit of a mistake. Now the smoke lands through. But are they going to go through it? Yes, they are. Look at KLP. Look at KLP. Oh, my. He's a firefighter. He just goes right through the smoke. He can see everything.
Woo-wee. That is a massive mistake for the lineup missing there for EP. They got confirmation not once, but twice exactly where this sniper was, and they still couldn't handle him. Spoke about this for Stallions, spoke about the fact that they needed someone to step up alongside No, and I really called upon KLP. We got it. That flash in the pan, that glimmer of hope. Now for Stallions, they even up the scoreline. They still need to close. They still potentially need 3 more. And this. How aggressive is this?
Oh my goodness, this is a nice little bit of a change-up if I say so myself. But now ZAY does kind of respond a little bit, but look at that, Stallions. Right back into fighting fashion. This is what we were waiting for. This is what we're talking about. And they get it done. They want to be able to close this map out quickly with the pace like that.
They're great. Like, they're so cool the way that they just immediately swap back. They get 1 round and it relies on like a hero moment. And they go, all right, we're just going to push now. We're just going to take all the space away from EP. And because you've not done that once all half long, like, why on earth would they ever expect it? The triple push, the extra spare man in No being in the BL sport. I mean, come on, man.
Whew, what a time to do it. 20-9 for No. Man, he's having a game. He is starting to perform once again. Again, a little bit quiet on the beginning, right? We talked about map 1, not quite there, but now map 2, realizing everything at stake.
There's a crazy crunch right now. ZAY doesn't realize the imminent danger he is potentially in. YZK is only holding with a rifle and not the sniper, and that's going to be his downfall. No, JJ killing absolutely everyone. 2WW can't escape, and it feels like we are destined for that 3rd map.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about. This is the Stallions everybody loves to see. This is when they get that confidence, but it allows them to just absolutely go demon mode, and they're just taking down every single person in their path. We were talking about them playing slow. We're talking about them not doing the right setups. Now they're realizing, you know what? We can frag better than these guys. Let's put that to work. And now they put themselves on map point, and we have EP that are going to have to call this timeout because, again, they're going to have to find a way to pull up 2 to push this thing to another overtime, if that's even a possibility.
And this is going to be just such a mind game right now if you're EP, because your coach is going to be saying to you, look, they're going to push, they're going to really try and come for you. And if you're Stallions, you're going to be thinking, well, we know that they know that that's what they're going to be saying. So now you've got the mind game. Do you call the bluff? And do you actually go for it again? Or do you reset the situation? You play the most passive GR side to guarantee that round, and you effectively waste a lot of time time off the clock, because for EP as well, when the time has run short, especially on BL, they've been struggling to get in towards the bomb sites. It's a really interesting decision tree that's about to be made here by both of these teams.
It really is, like, and I'm glad you bring that up, because this is where it's a mind game. Like, this is where EP, like, the constant guessing, the constant analysis of, like, okay, what do we do? Like, is Stallions really just going to keep doing the same thing? You would think not, but Stallions could easily just say, you know what? We're absolutely going to do this. Why not? Like, just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're just going to keep hammering this down as much as we need to. But that's where I feel like for EP, they're the ones on the, like, guessing game scratching their heads.
I'll put my neck on the line. I'd love to see EP just rush B. It feels like A's the obvious one. It feels like they've really been conditioning A. Just go through Hotel and smash the B bomb site. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be. I actually would like. I do agree with you. I would like to see EP just kind of increase the tempo on this a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. It does look like A seems to be a little bit of a target on this. KLB switches the gun. He's got the Vepr, so now this is where this could be really big of an issue. Oh, man! What a slaughter! Finds the double. That might just be enough, possibly. JJ needs to stay alive. He needs to make sure his reinforcements can get here. Stallions spraying frantically. Loy hungry for it. And now it's all just down to one, but no! The problem solver will be able to continue on for map number 3.
And we said it was going to be obvious. We said it was probably going to be a faster paid round out of EP. And the fact that you've got that gun in the vents doing that much damage, Stallions ready for everything. And now you've got inside the head of EP both map choices going the way of the opposition. And this decider map of Eagle Eye 2.0 is going to be spicy.
I cannot believe it. I absolutely love this, though. That's what we were talking about here for this day number 3. As we said, this match is definitely one of the best matches we have lined up, just because there's so much history. There's so much at stake. It's, winner moves on, and the loser of the match will lose their key. But that's where, again, Stallions, they have proven that they are a championship level team. That's where it qualifies to being one of those top contending teams where you can persevere and push through the barriers needed. But look, we're going to go to that break. We're going to let the desk take the rest away here as we prepare for map number 3.
Play is in our DNA. Whenever we let it out, it becomes our superpower. Now imagine an entire city being built to supercharge it. Kadir City, powered by Play.
What an unbelievable series. We knew it wouldn't disappoint, and it absolutely has not. Look at the emotion on No's face. Stallions finally feeling like their old selves. The energy is palpable. Yes, they take a stumble on sub base as EP takes it 13-10, but they snap right back on Ankara 10-7. Kyle, we've got a series.
Absolutely, we do. Big credit, though, to Stallions in that final half. It's the first half we've seen in 4 halves they've played where it actually felt like Stallions had that confidence back. They were taking the fights aggressively, and that's the Stallions we know, and that's the Stallions I want to see going into map 3.
They remembered who they are. It was so impactful. We can see that. I mean, No obviously carrying throughout, but it was about round 14. He gets aggressive, kind of testing the waters. And from there on out, they're just like, no, you know what? We're just going to get up in their faces, disrupt them, stop playing EP's game against EP because they're the best at it. We play our game and it works.
That's right. You got to admire Stallions to be able to snap back. They kind of looked defeated after map 1's loss.
Yeah, they really did. You could see it on their faces coming out of map 1. They felt like that was their map to win. And even at the start of this second map, they were still kind of in that mindset. But you could see finally coming out of that tack pause, they were able to piece it together and really put No in a position where he could continue to capitalize. But not only that, he finally had his team around him as well.
Yeah, exactly right. I feel like it's a team that has there's a lot of emotions right there. There's a lot of fiery personalities. There's a lot of momentum that comes from them. And if they can't get started, it can be really stally for them. But No was that kind of fire starter throughout. He really gave them the way through. But KLP, I want to give massive props to him as well, right? I think he had that one impactful round. There's a missed smoke over on A. He abuses that, gets a 3K from it. And that, again, was part of that moment where they started to push forward.
Yeah, KLP, one of the players we wanted to see step up, right? Really support the roster, and he's doing exactly that. Lucy made a great point, Kyle, about you can't play EP's game because they're the best at it because it's their game after all. What do Stallions do differently heading into game number 2? Well, clearly I can already see something. Kano comes back to his usual self, 24 kills.
Yeah, this is the no we've come to expect. My only worry going into map 3 is can he keep this level of performance up? Because we saw in map number 1, when he's not able to have a star-studded game, they do struggle a little bit, but at the very least, I hope they keep this aggressive play style as we look ahead to Eagle Eye.
2WW only picks up 8 eliminations. Game 1, he was instrumental. This time he's a little bit slower, but nonetheless, EP still put up a tremendous fight. After all, it ends 10-7.
Yeah, 2W got caught out a lot, I think, on going for some of his lurk timings. Him and XQQ, who have been the heroes throughout this kind of run for them, were both absent here a little bit. But yeah, I want to give them props, especially when it came to the retakes on the GR side. You can see they were really expecting Stallions overextensions, very punishing. And there was multiple rounds in that first half that Stallions, I think, gave over and were really punished by the Evolution Power retakes.
Retakes are very good when it comes to EP's side, but Stallions are great with the aggression. They're known for that, in fact, and it worked last year. This year, they are a bit of a hybrid team. They can slow things down if they want, but heading into Eagle Eye, map number 3, how's this looking like for both teams, EP and Stallions?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a tough one for Stallions. You look at the history between these two teams. EP historically the better team toe-to-toe on this specific map, though it usually does go to an overtime situation in a lot of these meetups. EP, this is one of their pocket picks, though. It's going to be a tough road to go ahead for Stallions.
Yeah, I think so. Just the way they've been playing so far, they've really warmed up into it. We spoke a lot about, Sneaky brought up the way that they're kind of innovated, on this map a lot. And that said, I do think the kind of the play style of it does suit the side of Stallions, even if historically it's not been one they've got over the line against them. I think with the momentum that they come off that map too, I think they have a great chance now of reverse sweeping.
But I think at this point, it's all about emotions, and it's really all, past aside. I think going into this, both teams are feeling the pressure. Equally, both teams are feeling the momentum. EP still has momentum from game number 1. They're going to be carrying that into game 3. It's a fun series after all. And what's at stake? A key will be crushed. A team will be eliminated. But if you win, you move forward to playoffs. You're now top 8, and you continue your run into quarterfinals later on today in our playoff round. There's a lot of coverage at EWC, and we love to give all the coverage we possibly can, and that includes Level Up Season 2.
A lot of people are haunted by their past. I'm inspired by it.
They're not just playing for themselves, they're really playing for their entire family.
They have defeated their demons! They have crushed the curse!
It's Stallions versus Evolution Power Gaming. The team huddle, Coach Tank's there. You gotta admit and you gotta appreciate how close this team is. I mean, most likely, really, you can kind of relate to a family. That's how much they've grown over the years, and they stuck together. For EP at their battle stations, ready to compete. They know the job's not done, and they want to move forward just as much as any other roster out there.
Yeah, I mean, look how composed they are. This is one thing that I've really admired about Evolution Power, just watching their run here, right? We saw it in the Vitality series where they were down and out in all of those maps, but the way they came back, I mean, sure, didn't close out the Eagle Eye, right? But it was the way they were able to continue to stay in the game. It never felt like the pressure got to them, even though they didn't get over the line. And that's been the case with this lower bracket run for them. Like, they've been composed throughout these series. They play like they can win any of these rounds, any of these maps. And that's why I still do believe in them here.
Yeah, you know what? Both teams, though, I could say, after battling as they have, deserved to be in the playoffs. Only one can make it for sure. Coach Tanks is instrumental to this roster and keeping them calm, poised, and composed. What do you think the advice he gave to them after that Game 1 loss heading into Game 2, ultimately giving them the win?
I think you could see it in game 2. It's just focus on what they're good at, not what the enemy team is trying to control you into doing, because that's why they were losing sub base. They were playing into EP's hand constantly, and it's how EP was clawing their way into a potential win in this series. But you could see that final half of Ankara, they flipped the switch, they took all the fights aggressively to their opponent, and that's how Stallions is able to win these matches.
This is a matchup of epic proportions, a rematch from last year. It was EP who got the win, securing 3rd place. For Stallions, they had to settle with 4th, but Stallions have improved since then, and they're not the same roster they once were. But EP doesn't care about that. They know they can win this, but they've got to take it now and now. For Team Stallions, Evolution Power Gaming, game number 3 to decide it all. Who moves forward? Who gets their key crush? Casters, let's find out.
Let's see who does it then, because whoever does is going to do it their own way and their own style. Brains versus Brawn here with Stallions and EP. And for XQQ is instant deletion over the top of Eagle-Eye 2.0. And now there's only one remaining for the Stallions. It is Loy versus the world, and he's got to be careful, otherwise he's going to get swallowed up and chewed out whole.
Yeah, this position's good, though. He might be able to find that double kill, but not a chance. YZK pulls up, and now we see EP being able to find an opening round quickly. And I mean, again, let's not forget, that was what, a 1-on-4, 1-on-5 within 2 minutes? Like, the timer barely was going down, and EP just went in activation kill mode.
That was a concentrated effort towards that A-bomb site as well for Stallions, and they just get shut down immediately. Here we go then.
Oh, I'm so excited.
KLB taking a lot of ground and real estate towards the middle of the map. Doesn't see anything, but KLP will. YZK dropped, and now the opening kills go the other way.
Yeah, good kills coming in from Stallions, though, right? They've been able to find the 1-2 combination, taking down ZAY and also YZK. So now just leaving just for XQQ. Again, that's a strong threat still on the server. Here for the EP side, YH as well. Good timing here from Loy. It's a little bit of an improvement, though, from Stallions, right? This is where we were talking about some of their positions, some of their trades were a little bit sloppy in some regard. Starting to look a lot better here and now, though.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I think that they've also got the lurks working for them, and the timing of them has actually been a lot more aggressive than we've seen in previous maps. And as a consequence, like that trade spacing is actually just grouped up a lot more for them. I like this idea as well. Stallions in this round where XQQ owns you in the previous. You just ignore him in this one. You go straight up B. You got the guts of the mapper as well, and you take that split. XQQ will try his best, and I think he's going to understand exactly where KLP is. It's just about whether he can handle him. First kill can't even belong to him. It's JJ to lock it in. And very much like we've had on all of the maps so far, these rounds will go back and forth.
Let's not forget, too, like, I mean, I made a brief comment about this in the very beginning where I said for a map like Eagle-Eye, I don't know, for EP's sake, though, like, they just lost out in the golden round against Vitality. I mean, this is where I beg the question, but that was a very different looking EP group, right? Like, that's where I was saying I didn't think they were quite the same level that they are here and now. So I don't know if I want to use that as like a full example against them, but this is where Stallions, they have to make sure they're going to be able to get over the line here because, again, this is where they have the history, where they've lost to this team last year. So this is where it means even that much more to them. So we have to make sure they don't get blind by that kind of feelings and emotion.
Yeah, especially if they start winning rounds early and then not being able to hold on to it. It's interesting, the discussion point you raise here, because I think for EP, it's about them building into the competition, and for Stallions, it's always been about holding on, whether they can keep maintaining that same level. So a very interesting, I think, psychological warfare between these two teams, as we've just got the jump spots back and forth, now got the trader utility down in towards B when it comes to these smokes, and YZK putting that secondary sniper, can't get caught out in the open here.
Yeah, it's good repositions from him too. Again, just not trying to give up his life and making it problematic, so this is good. Now we're going to see for Stallions being able to fight for this hotel control. This could be good because, again, just get some real estate, work with something, because they have nothing. Like, really, they have mid control. Yeah, that's pretty much a guarantee for the BL side most rounds, so this isn't a whole lot that they've been able to secure yet. They have to be able to find a duel, though. They have to get these rotates in placement for the GR side. They have to kind of, you know, disassemble it as much as they can just to find these timings.
They've got a very good timing right now. Like, it feels like if they go in towards B, like, these rotations are very far away, at least for XQQ and YH. Lloyd's getting ready. And as soon as I say that, now the rotator are coming over. This hold has got to be good, but also the entries from the Stallions have got to be better. They're being held back by all this util. They're so blind, they can't see anything. And that's going to open the door up for EP to try and shut them out. The wallbang's good. No. And you know that he's going to try and deliver. Can't find anything else. ZAY will close the door on the B-bomb site, and EP will continue to build momentum.
Yeah, it kind of feels again like we're just seeing this Stallions group where they're just kind of again laser focused on one spot. They're like, okay, we're just going to go to this. We're not going to make a peep on the other side of the map. We're not going to make any sort of distraction. And you can see how fast, right before all this chaos in the battle, EP were already rotating. Like they were well underway, so that positioning was already problematic.
I like the idea here for KLP to hold for a hotel push, but the reality is that EP aren't going to overextend it in these rounds. We've already seen it so much on the GR side. Like they're just going to chill. Their best, I think, suit is when they are playing for retake, when they are playing in these crossfires. Like they do a very good job, I think, compared to most teams, about not giving over kills early.
And I like the idea that they're going to try to go through this mid corridor, but again, you have to be able to get that smoke on the left-hand side here. You just cannot take this drive because you have 3 players that are in A tower. Like this is an obvious thing, right? This is where EP could easily be able to hit some target practice on this if they choose to, but Stallions instead, they're going to mix things up, add a couple different ingredients onto this recipe. They're going to try to spice it up maybe a little bit differently. Paul Flash is getting ready to go. V-Dog, they're just going for it.
But they're all here. They're all here, but maybe the timing is still going to be okay for Stallions. Never mind. XQQ will get the opening pick immediately, but KLB is trying his best alongside Loy, but they're getting shut down as they try and scale further forward. It's nice out of XQQ. He keeps repositioning. KLP now throws it into a clutch. I think he's got a good idea of where YZK is. And for KLP, he backs out, he disengages, he now resets. And wants to go all the way around the world, maybe not towards B directly, but he will.
This is great. This is a perfect reposition. Again, just using that late round decision making. He's like, look, he's probably just going to be hyper-focused here, so I can take the full advantage of getting the plant that I want. And YZK now still, again, I don't blame him. He's probably expecting him just sitting there, waiting things out. He's just trying to look for a timing. KLP, though, this is where he has to either decide to plant... No, don't overcook. Don't overcook. Don't overcook.
Okay, that's fine. Woo. He took the deep space, but you're right. And now it comes to another one. Do you overcook again? Where on earth do you take this after plant? And it feels like you've got a really good understanding of where YZK is.
Oh my goodness, okay. Perfectly repositioned, yeah, and I like it because, again, you were just making a good point. Like, he can check out mid really quickly. He did the deep investigating. He's like, okay, he's not here. I can just make sure he's not just sitting in this mid crossing. And then, again, he was allowed to be able to get that free duel. So back was turned, but really good work from Stallions. I love, again, just taking that decision-making from KLP. This was so smart. And just not just rushing into the site and just trying to win a 1v1. He took his time, took his pace, and ZAY, patience is a virtue, gets gifted here a double kill.
Oh, hello. Loy has just found the way in, and he's seen the nade. He knows the trajectory. 2WW here, but not overwhelmed. So player advantage still maintained here for EP. As KLP hits a crazy one.
Oh, man. Caught the shoulder of XQQ and gets him down.
Look at the flank. This is really quick. 2WW just needs to stay alive, but you can't against shots like that.
What is that?
So YH is now scaling very fast. KLP seems to be aware this timing has to go in favor of YH, and it will. And no, will hit the instant headshot back. That round is pandemonium, but it's Stallions that thrive in the chaos.
I don't know if we're going to be able to get the replay that quickly, but I really hope we can, because that was an absolutely filthy entry. What a way to get yourself into that bomb site. Just a nice little bit of a bunny hop, the one tap to get it there. But like you said, KLP, hyper aware. He was ready to go. He knew that there might have been a player on the flank. Even though he doesn't get the kill, no instantly reacts to it. So it's a really good situation, really good communication. So seems like, again, both these teams still got the gas in the tank. It doesn't look like anybody's deflated or running on fumes yet.
Got to give a lot of credit to Loy as well in this round, because you see the advanced setup in Hotel being put forward by EP, and as a consequence, there's a gap in middle. So that's crazy. That is actually just so disgusting.
Oh, that's so filthy.
But because they've got this forward push in Hotel, Loy just takes the advanced flank, and he's just right behind them immediately. So it's really good heads-up play.
Yeah, big, deep conversation here for EP. So the fact that they're going to call their last tactical timeout here for this series, right here now with the scoreline, it kind of begs the question, is there a lot of, I don't want to say turmoil, but is there a lot of like disagreements? Is there a lot of things that they're just not fully on the same page of yet? So clearly the coach has a lot to say in this, but it kind of, again, begs the question about, is it good to be burning it this early, or should you have kept it kind of in your back pocket just for the later stage?
The issue you've got is it's always going to go the other way, right? It's always a double-edged sword, especially when you've only got one timeout, because if it starts snowballing out of control, we'd be sat here 10 minutes later going, well, why didn't they call it earlier? That's the thing, right? So it's really tough. I actually quite like this timeout for them right now. We'll see if they start winning rounds off the back of it, but you're trying to nip things in the bud. You're trying to get this to a point where EP, especially in these series, they've not allowed Stallions to get so many rounds in a row. They never had to properly come back into a map.
And instead, EP, they're not going to go for the triple player A. They're actually going to, again, put this a little bit of a double mid. And just leaving for YZK, again, just kind of floating on the back side of the stairs. Actually, he's going to reposition entirely, so okay. Now we're going back to the regular setup. This is where EP like to put the 3 players onto that A site. And they're going to make me eat my own words here, B-Dog. They're going to just keep running around. A little unsure what they want to do.
And that doesn't actually fill me with too much confidence, especially off the back of a timeout, right? Like, it feels like they're really apprehensive of what's going on. It feels very jumpy from EP. Stallions now dropping the fake smokes all the way over towards A, the flashbangs, the nades, and no, they're not, but they might have to force to buy it or bend the knee. 2WW able to get the trays. That's sharp out of KLB. What on earth is that? Walking up from the Stallions, and XQQ is now left completely alone in the 1v2. Bomb only just being committed, somehow still alive. The pistol's out, but Loy's in towards this crossfire, and Stallions are going to be able to hold their nerve.
Hot damn, that was really nice. Again, I was like worried because, again, like the positioning from EP, we were both going like, look, this is a little bit concerning. These guys are just running around. They can't make a decision where they want to go. But then even for the fact that they had the stack correctly, Stallions, they put a great amount of execution into this, and everybody just hits the right shots. They're playing the trades, they're playing the system, and now they're just going to run on into this A site, and it's a free site. But you do have EP running hot on the heels right now for these guys, so Stallions have to be aware of this now.
You do, and look, they're considering it. KLB, brother in arms as well with JJ, and I like this out of KLP. Doesn't need to overextend, he's just holding the line. JJ will now take the contact. That means that KLB can come around the corner and backstab so efficiently. YZK now left completely to his own devices. Can't do a lot here with the sniper, but we'll still give it a look anyway. But it's no through the smoke, and he denies EP once more.
That is honestly going to be one of the best rounds I feel like we have seen from Stallions this entire series in this best of 3, because again, let's not forget, the biggest mistakes we were seeing, they weren't playing together. They were just going for these individual fights. They weren't playing the trades. Look at that coordination between KLB and just his teammate JJ. Like JJ said, swing, you have to go now. They're putting their attention on me, and they're just fragging out. The monster's off the leash, and now they're just doing everything. They're doing all the damage in the world.
And now they're galloping. Now finally we get to see it. The power up for the Stallions. And this is them in flow state. And this is the worst case situation for EP, because they could just be completely destroyed and dismantled. 2WW, it's a nice kill, sure, but now he's the only one left, and not for very long either. Sent back to the spectator screen with the rest of his teammates. It's Stallions now just charging forward here on this BL side, and it's EP to watch on as their key is getting closer and closer to getting crushed.
Well, remember we were talking a lot about the fact that, like, you know, EP went for the early timeout, and we were talking about the double-edged sword, and man, that sword is deep in the chest now, because again, 6-2, EP are probably going, okay, I wish we could sit and talk about what do we do now, because look at Stallions. They are just magnificent. It's like a unicorn. They have come out of nowhere, a mystical creature that's been able to just prevail and making the statement, EP have no answer whatsoever.
And the worst bit about this is the worst bit about this for Evolution Power Gaming is, what is your reaction when things aren't working? Oh, that means we've got to go fast. Stallions say, bring it on. We're the team that created that. We're the team that love to fight and get in your face, and we'll do it again and again and again. 7-2 on the BL side. They are running away with this decider match.
Oh man, can they continue this mayhem? And
yes,
it seems
they
like
can.
They can absolutely do it. Now 2WW is starting to do something. He's been able to find all 4. The new addition says, okay, fine. I need to get myself ready back in fighting form. I need to be the one that gets off the boards. But man, EP needed a lifeline, and I guess it has to be him.
I guess so, but the issue you've got for EP is they are now playing Stallions' game. They are now being dragged down right into the mud and wrestling with them. And I tell you what, you're not going to have many chances to get that as a success story if you're EP. Stallions are still 3 rounds away from taking this and putting themselves in playoffs.
Oh man, 2WW. Is this going to be, a bit of a kicking that he needs to just get into this like fighting, crazy fashion that we have been able to see him pull up in this tournament so far, right? I mean, we talked a lot about him in this new roster where he's been, the highlighted player. And that's where it just begs the question, can he really just continue that? I mean, that's a lot to rely on one player to be in, the driving seat, in the hot seat, but we'll see how Stallions want to react to it. They get a little bit humbled for that 1 round. And how do EP want to work with this? They're just slowly looking for a pick. They're hoping that XQQ might be able to find some kind of a small opening. But Stallions, thankfully, they're staying disciplined on this one.
They are or they aren't.
They are and they aren't. Well, for them.
We'll see. We'll see if JJ and No go around the corner. JJ takes the advanced peek. There's that trade instantaneously out of No. And sure, you've got this frag back, but you've got to be thinking to yourselves, if you're EP, there might be room here. KLP and Loy now trying to set themselves up. I like this out of KLP because he can take the contact. Loy's now on a really weird angle, but he's only able to go 1-for-1, 3 versus 2, and now the player advantage not quite maintained. That's until KLP comes back in with the sniper. YZK wises up and goes from B to A and tries to set himself up for a clutch.
That's fine. I mean, even if he gets his bomb down, that's okay. Stallions can sacrifice this. They don't care. As long as they can play together, they cannot let any sort of an opening, especially for someone like YZK. He's had himself a magnificent performance so far in this series. A lot of smiles, a lot of grins. Gonna play together. He has to be lights out. He has to hit the best shots in the world, and that's a good start. And now KLP, do you have it in you to get it done? He can! He absolutely can!
It just really felt like that was going to be the moment. That was going to be the round for YZK to step up and put this back into a conversation here for Evolution Power Gaming. The first shot is instantaneous. The second one, that's where the nerves get to him. That's where the pressure starts to mount. But Stallions, they are right on the cusp of playoffs. 2 rounds, and look at the fight. Look at the brawl in towards middle, and it's all coming up Stallions. Hold your horses no longer. XQQ will hit the deck, and Stallions have got 7 chances to close.
Oh my goodness, what a way. What a round to put yourself in match and series point. And now Stallions, a team that's been able to make, grand finals, a team that's been able to go very heavy in tournaments, might be able to just do that. They keep their key intact, but they have to just get 1 singular round done. But EP, like you said, they need to pull up a miracle run now to just staying alive.
Look at the flank. Look at the flank already.
Oh, no.
The backstab out of No is doing the damage, but at least it's traded effectively.
They're crunching him. They're absolutely crunching him, but EP respond back. They swing, they connect everything they need, so they do find a round. They do find something to still be in this best of 3. What a way to respond back. And now Stallions, do you want to keep aggressing, or do you want to stay a little bit more passive on this? And it seems like they will just go back to a default setup.
XQQ now looking to potentially just find this opening. And you're right, look, I feel like they've done their craziness, they've done these rounds to try and catch their opponent off guard, and now you can just go back to basics. Now you know that you have 1 chance to just get this done. It doesn't have to be too chaotic, it doesn't have to be too crazy. They've called the timeout just in case they lose this round. They might not even need it, and we've seen this combo already, we've seen this push out of No and JJ so many times, and ZAY has got to be the guy to hold on, but he might not be ready for it.
Yeah, JJ tries to attempt this again, and now ZAY should be able to find this kill, and he does. Yeah, okay, I was going to say, that double long A push again, they've tried it before. It was somewhat successful, but honestly, I don't love it. I don't love the fact they're just trying to do this as a two-man push. I liked it when they were trying to crunch it from long A and also middle. But this time they just try to take, a little bit of matters into their hands alone. And it could backfire poorly here. And again, we've been proven, like, EP are a team that absolutely can make the climb. Like, we were talking a big lead, and that doesn't phase them.
Yep, Lucy said it, right? Against Vitality, sure, they lost the maps, but they were down, but they certainly weren't out. And this is clean. This potentially is just every single player staying alive now for EP. Pressure not quite there for Stallions. They'll take a timeout just to reconvene and reset the situation. They'll try and have that momentum break going forward on EP. But you can't be stressed yet, but you know that somewhere in the locker, EP have got this potential in them.
Yeah, and it's a good timeout. I think Tanks being able to call this now is probably good. You lost, 2 rounds in a row. This is where you can just have some time to just allow him to kind of give some advice on what he's noticing. Because the thing is we've seen them do some strategies where they're pushing down long A. They try this like long A mid crunch. They've tried, we haven't really seen that banana push yet, or really like full hotel control yet. I mean, the thing is like, I'm not totally against them trying one more aggressive round somewhere. Like, I think it wouldn't be unreasonable, but I'm almost wondering maybe you tackle it a little bit of a different way where you do maybe like down long B or like banana there, and then you do a mid or something like that. You don't just leave long A, like give it up, like, right? That, because it's been predictable now. You know that JJ, you know that KLB are the two players that do like to contest for that.
Unless you think that they think, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this again.
No, not again, B-Dog.
I agree with you. I agree with you, lads. Like, look, they need to like stop doing that. They need to deviate away from it. And Tanks, it feels like he's got the perfect call, or at least he's got the perfect rally cry to kind of get this team just over the line. They've got this game exactly where they want it. Worst case scenario is that the spiral's out of control. It doesn't matter how many rounds it takes. Just make sure that it only takes the one and not OT.
Exactly, because that would be such a kick to the gut, right? I mean, if you get this all the way to overtime, like, what a big lead for you to lose, and then EP are just going to be loving it. They're going to be just on that full momentum swing. The wind is still in the sails here for Stallions, but we'll see if EP can throw some kind of holes or something to stop it.
Different setup now, so No's got a secondary sniper, so this really indicates to me that they're not going to push.
Yeah, this is a good indication. And how often do we get to see him on the sniper, right? I mean, he's a very strong rifler. Not to say he can't snipe, obviously, but it is just like you said, that's a big change up. So they're going to try to use a little bit of range on this one for this round at least.
Oh, I like this. If EP just go, I like the idea of this. Oh, but no, on the sniper, there he is. That's why he uses it. And this change up is insane.
Oh my, I was talking about we don't get to see it on the sniper very often, but man, why don't we get to see it more often?
Do it more. How about that? How about that from No? He denies EP the right to playoffs, and their key is going to get crushed all in the hands of one man and one sniper.